Hey everybody, hope everyone's having a good and wonderful Friday. I am Fawn. Welcome to Paladins Premier League, of course, and it is indeed Friday. Yesterday we saw a lot of good stuff. We saw PK take it over NIP in this case, and VP once again continuing their reign of terror against SSG, both of those matches being 4-2. However, of course, I'm not alone. I'm with Gore.
Yeah, hey man.
Hey, what's up? How you doing?
Not much. I'm excited. I think today is going to be probably more interesting than yesterday, which is weird to think yesterday was two really good six-game sets. But today is maybe going to set more of a precedent, maybe give us some more knowledge as to where some of these teams stand, specifically in the first matchup, but even in VP Nights. Like, it's going to just kind of showcase where does everybody fall out, even though, you know, the standings are year-long. Right now, the teams are shuffling.
Right, exactly. I mean, you take into consideration so many different things that happened yesterday. Like SSG were looking so good. They did lose to VP. They lost 4-2, but SSG did extremely well. And after yesterday, of course, you have to update the standings. We're going to take a look and see where everyone is in place right now in terms of the PPL non-split. Of course, still at number one NIP now with 7 losses. NIP 14-7. Envy following up third. VP now fourth. SSG fifth. Kanga, PK, and Renegades 6th, 7th, and 8th in this case.
And again, this is the whole reason that this is misleading is Virtus Pro's been kind of slapping everybody around when it comes down to it. NIP is sitting in second, but it's because they had such a massive lead early on, right? They garnished so much in the first split without losing. I mean, they were 10-0 at one point before they find those losses. This split, nowhere near the same performance so far, and so that's why it's kind of interesting. They're in second, but that second place feels like it's starting to slip out of their hands, whereas with Virtus Pro in fourth, you definitely have to kind of look towards them as the team kind of rising. But SSG, they're the ones that have, I think, everyone's kind of question on the mind.
Right.
Where do they stand?
Right, exactly. I mean, unrelative to their standings, of course, SSG hasn't had really the time to practice or anything like that. However, they were looking extremely good yesterday. Mittal comes to mind all the time after yesterday. His amazingly dominant performance on Bright Marsh. He did so well just with his Genos play. And of course, this is extremely impressive for a team that we're talking about how they haven't really had the chance to practice, and they're pulling off all this amazing stuff already.
Honestly, I think it falls into the category of how impressive SSG are, and specifically Mittal here, having, like, yesterday was out of his mind. Like, it is something I'm not used to seeing from Mittal, which is a vast improvement, not just for him, but I think for everybody. I mean, last week, you know, they come into it, they hadn't played the game in months. This week, they come into it, and you can tell that they have absolutely been able to put in a lot of time. And one of the things I've said about SSG, I said it yesterday, and I think I even said it last week, but they learn so fast. They pick up a lot really quickly. And as far as adapting in-game goes and out-of-game, like, they have the quickest turnaround for that. Like, that strategy won't work twice against them, and they kind of figure it out pretty quickly. The worst thing for them really in this matchup is just that historically NIP thrashed them. It's always been a 4-0 for them.
Right, exactly. I mean, NIP, of course, was at the top of the ladder. Now not as Vincere there. And NIP have had a sort of rough split. They've been losing to a lot of these more so top-seeded teams. And the thing is that, of course, you can't really mention NIP without talking about a few of the players there. We had just ended up talking about Mittal, SSG side, but Bird in this case, another really powerful, a very prominent support, of course.
Yeah.
And he does so well. Anytime it is, you give him a support, he just knows what to do. He knows where to be at.
There's actually a really interesting moment yesterday, and you know, you get a lot of this. I love the aggression that we're starting to see out of supports, but he's not just doing this with Furia, who you kind of expect to see it. There was a point yesterday they were playing Frog Isle. It was the first map, and yes, they didn't win it, but he was sitting there recognizing that, you know what? I can get damage off. He is healing everybody around him and in between the cooldowns, like having the exact amount of shots that he can get between all of those timers coming up. And it was insane to watch. It was a 2v1, but the damage, there was 2 DPS players focusing each other, and Bird just happened to be on the side. And Bird's keeping this guy healed, dealing damage to that guy, standing on the point, doing something over there. Like, he's just got 4 or 5 things going for him, and it was just ludicrous with how impressive it was.
Right, of course. And keeping all of that in mind, of course, we have the map ban, see what these guys want. SSG get rid of Ice Mines, NIP get rid of Splitstone Quarry, Ascension Peak, Frozen Guard are both gone for, once again, NIP and SSG. And I'm really excited because SSG have been looking extremely, extremely well. We're going to see where it is that we decide to go for the first map as well. Shadow Desert, a map it is we saw yesterday. And once again, I mean, it is a map that NIP did win on yesterday. They did extremely well. They pulled out the Fury, they pulled out the Grok, and it really held true in this case against SSG.
It's been really, really solid, I think, for them. And they're also going to be playing against, well, SSG in a strong way. I mean, Splitstone Quarry is probably one of SSG's best maps, and taking away, or going to Shattered Desert, I should say, is maybe bringing them to a place they haven't seen as often, right? And especially, again, you're looking at practice, you're looking at the sets they've played the last 2 weeks. This isn't the most picked map in the world, so you don't get to see it too often. If you figure it out, you figure it out. But the biggest thing, I think, to kind of glean from this is a good map for Maeve, who just got banned, and Eevee. And NIP, when Bittner played it yesterday, Eevee looked fantastic. When Alex has been playing it, it's been kind of half and half. Sometimes it's the same old Alex Eevee we expect, sometimes it's not. But if Freeze gets it on this map, it might be a done deal.
Right, exactly. I mean, that's something you have to be so afraid of. NIP decided to lock in the Atlas first. SSG hovering the Makoa, hovering the Cassie. Now, of course, I believe that they really would want to be able to pick that, because if they get the Makoa, maybe another frontliner, whoever else, it's going to be really bad if Cassie ends up getting through. But in that same vein of things, Makoa Khan, now that's something that's really, really scary, that is going to be opposing NIP in their draft already. Now, what's interesting here is that, of course, one thing it was that I remember that VP mentioned yesterday was that what makes SSG so impressive right now is in such a short amount of time, their drafts have changed. And, of course, they have to because of the new patch.
They do such good homework. They understand the teams they're playing, and they pick up very quickly like what is the quote-unquote meta, right? And like right now, you know, you're still seeing Torvald banned. The update, you know, that came through Wednesday that most people are playing on is not here for the Premier League just yet. That'll come in next week, but you're still going to be looking at, I mean, some of these things changing. Specifically with Torvald, I think is going to be the biggest change. Maybe with Willow, she's probably going to stay down there in the ban phase. But, I mean, they went from high priority on the things they knew how to play, essentially playing the same meta they left with in the Premier League and at MSI, and they came into it and they noticed, well, that's not working. Last week, from day 1 to day 2, they changed a lot of how they kind of did that. And then from week 1 to week 2 for them, so week 6 to week 7 here, they just knocked it out of the park. Like, I don't know what kind of homework they did, how much grinding they have done, but it's like they locked themselves away in their home and just kind of like, I mean, hyperbolic time chambered with balance. They just did whatever they could to train and just get better. And I mean, yesterday was night and day compared to the first game last week.
Right, exactly. We see that. Cassie also is being hovered SSG side, which will be good because they'll be able to deal with the tanks a little bit heavier. Barrick, Atlas, both having to worry about that big game damage. More than likely, she's going to end up picking Genos as well. Now, he's locked it. Now, this is, I know VP said it yesterday, but I also want to know what you think about this, Gore. Is that they said that they don't really see Genos being as important. They said that he'll feel like he'll stay the same, but once again, he's one of the only surviving damage amps characters when that patch comes out next week for PPL.
Well, it's one of those things, and it's actually, I would say, maybe easier to look at it, and less that he's the only one surviving. He's the only one not changing. He's only at 15% right now. Torvald's getting brought in line with that. Tyra's getting brought in line with that, right? So everyone's going to be more uniform. Torvald right now is a little too much. Tyra, as she gets locked in there, is a little too much for where she comes through. I mean, 25%, you throw that on a Makoa, you throw that on the Khan, and that's a lot of damage that they're going to be taking in from every other source. And so you're going to line them up more with Genos, but we've seen how potent Genos can be. Yeah, he's not first pick. Sometimes he gets banned, but he enables compositions, and I think what we're going to see is Torvald and Tyra fall into that niche composition kind of area where it's just like sometimes they're going to work. And right now, I mean, Tyra's got her work cut out for her on this map, but I think she can do it. I
mean, 100%. And you mentioned it before. They do end up giving Eevee to, more than likely, Freeze God in this case. And that's going to be really, really monstrous for NIP to deal with. However, both of the teams are locked in. The compositions are ready to go. We're going to throw it down to the cashless booth to take us into the game.
All right. Happy Friday, everybody. It's Friday the 13th, so happy, unhappy. I'll leave that up to you. It's happy for us, though. We got some good matchups. Dolson Kresnik on the cast for set number 1. These are two teams that lost yesterday. Two teams that we're not used to seeing in threat of going 0-2 in a lot of these weeks. But one of them will be. One of them's going to escape the week 1-1. this is a telling matchup, I think. If SSG are really kind of getting back into form, and if NIP have really started to fall, a lot of questions to be answered in our first set of the day.
If SSG manage to take it, it's a huge killer for NIP too, because NIP have not lost to SSG yet. I mean, double 4-0s in the regular season of Phase 1, beating them at MSI, as I'm painfully aware of. But this is going to be a good, I think, tone to set for the rest of these games coming up, because we have triple tank with Tyra, something that we've seen Nip play a decent amount. But with the way the champions I think they have in it, it's going to mean that they have to be very in sync with their Ruckus.
Sure.
If the rest of them can't really dive quite as hard, so if he goes just a little bit ahead, gets out of sync, it's going to be really easy for SSG to hook and just annihilate him. But we've seen Makoa be very powerful versus triple tank as well.
Yeah.
If SSG can play that defensive pullback kind of out of their comfort zone style, they can hard counter it even if NIP are firing on all cylinders.
It's a new look, too, having the Ruckus on the NIP side, specifically on Bonker. This might be the first time I've ever seen it. A little hybrid off-tank for him. Alex finds the first one on the FRZ. Followed up with Brashao here as Bonker ducks behind the pillar on the left-hand side, keep himself alive. NIP fighting from the point here, 57% for them. Any cascading kills from this will likely bode well for NIP. They look to do just that. 84% about to be point number 1 unless somebody's able to get in range, grab a touch. They just might be able to. 99%. Overtime does begin, so Spacestation, one more shot, maybe turning this one around.
They did lose FRZ for the overtime, though, so not another guaranteed. Ares has to feed himself in to get the next touch. And at this point, all it's going to do is give some more ultimates to NIP. They're going to have to play a little bit further back. I think they kind of underestimated the amount of burst damage they're going to have with that hunting party combined with those tanks.
Whoa.
And Bittner, he's been one of the better barracks in the league. Is that weird? Is that weird to say? It is weird to say, but it's the truth. Every time they play this triple tank and Tenor does get to play this barrack, he really shows how strong he is on it, how devastating barrack can be in the right hands.
And devastating is maybe an understatement, and he's almost eclipsing 20k damage 2.5 minutes into this game. Getting eerily close there. Only Sadak with 2 kills on the board for Space Station Gaming as NIP look to spearhead this attack into the base of Space Station. Triple tank composition, I mean, it's so weird in general, seeing Bonker not only on the Ruckus, but Bittner then on the Barrack. I mean, it's weird in the sense that the name champion combo is mismatched in my brain, but when you think, like you said, how good Bittner's done on that Barrack, maybe a little less surprising as Bird finds the first, Bonker with the second. That's all they need to push this one in, 2-0.
This plays so well into NIP's comfort. Triple tank on this map specifically, it's so wide and open that you can't really get as aggressive as you would, as NIP like to get on other maps, without 3 tanks. You just need the health pool to cross that distance. Alex can sit in the back and kind of keep himself contained, and everyone else can just go in like they like to do, and clearly it's working out right now. SSG definitely need to figure out a little bit of a tempo change, I think. Maybe play a little bit further back, a little harder off of Sadok's hooks, because he's hitting them. I mean, his dredge anchors are connecting. They just need to find the kills and not be trading for it. That's the whole point of this. If triple tank trades, they're usually going to have 2 tanks on the back of it when you might lose 1, or you might lose one of your DPSs. Just too much potential in 1-for-1 trades for NIP.
I mean, if you're SSG, Ares, or Freeze God, is there an ideal target in your mind to eliminate right off the bat? Is that Alex somehow getting onto him in the backline?
If Alex overextends, then it would be Alex for sure. Otherwise, it's just whatever tank is the most forward. Most likely. It was the Hexa-firing Ruckus there. They get through time and space onto him to get a little bit of shield broken down, but they don't find the kill. They might with this Ancient Rage chasing him down, and they do. He got another emitter.
Oh, no!
Okay, they finally do, but they ended up trading it for Rashao in the mid.
Yeah, they pulled so much back, and they used an Ancient Rage, and they used through time and space to try to clean up that Ruckus there. At the end of the day, finally does. They're able to win the engagements on the opposite side as well. Freeze God finally getting a little bit involved in this one after what seemed to be a kill-less first half for him. Now Space Station Gaming on the back end of some good skirmishes on the front, controlling this mid. 50% for them. They're going to have the fast cap. Going to charge up just a little bit closer. Overpower just wide this time around. This one stalls out. NIP, though, they hit that go button and Flame burning at their backs. Charging forward. Exiles as well. Could eliminate some member from this fight. He catches Ares here. There's no real engagement. Kind of fizzled out on the back end of the Inflame. Yeah,
they tried to go in off of the Exile. I actually was laughing at the Beyond the Veil Inflame speed boosted exiling Atlas, just plotting his way forward, but didn't end up doing anything. They got a little bit too forward off that. SSG actually perfectly peeled back, get 3 from NIP, 1 coming back from spawn now, and they have total control here. Aries just walking all over them with 2 kills and maybe a 3rd cleanup onto Tenor.
Yeah, free shots from Aries. That spells the first point for SSG. After a 2-kill first round, they come roaring back here. Still a tough round for Rashao, but looking a lot better for it. And they did exactly what you figured they needed to. When that big engage happens, kite back a little bit, look for a pick, and it works out ever so well for SSG.
Oh, sorry, hold on. My phone was on with them the whole time. They must have been listening.
Yeah, wait a second.
Oops. So, great Ice Storm through time and space combo onto Tenor, guaranteeing that kill for Mitau. So they have some good staggers they can move forward with. Again, got to play off these hooks. That's how you deal with this triple tank composition. Any kind of set-up kill that you're not at any risk of trading for, that's what they need to keep doing. Those combos, those hooks. That's how SSG need to keep playing around those things. And they also need to die. Look at their credits. They have to go spend those credits.
Yeah, you're
over 4 digits for everybody.
4 digits on everybody. So that's going to be a big item swap or item extension for them when they're able to get back into base. Shao hits this overpower, doesn't find the kill though. Forced to Commander's grab his way out of that one. Once the shield breaks, he will as well. Looks like NIP have stalled themselves out a little bit. Bonker gets aggressive, has the Hexafire, elects not to use it there. Would have been a little bit risky of positioning for him to throw it out at that spot. SSG only have the Ancient Rage, Scout ready soon. NIP plenty to defend with here. As the line in the sand is drawn, things calming down for just a moment. What a fun map Shattered Desert is, just constant skirmishes. And if it goes one way or the other, likely spells an offense or a defense in this case.
It's interesting because it really does come down to those like 2v2 skill matchups, because you're usually so far apart that other than the mid, that you can't really help each other.
Sure.
You know, it really does kind of come down to that death match between you and somebody else maybe being saved by your tank. Very aggressive play by NIP, trading 2 for 2.
Yep.
Healer down in SSG though, so the longer this fight goes, the worse it is for them. They actually have a good flank here. If they can find Alex, this could work out for them.
And they re-engage on the back end of it. They force themselves so far forward. 2 down for SSG, but then they flip it right back around. Freeze God still alive, notably, towards the end of that fight. He's able to pick off Alex, so no real ground gained or lost for either side as we approach 20 seconds left in this one. Payload finally starting to move forward. Ultimate's ready to go. Could use the crossfire. There are enough grouped up targets here. This will go into overtime. Not going to get in there in 10 seconds. Losing Rashao, though, first off. He's got 5 seconds left. Overtime's going to begin before he's able to get back, and they have Sadak so poked out. Maybe a touch from the blinking in Eevee. Hook in onto Diggy Dog, but he actually turns the kill around onto Makoa. Overtime looking like it's bound to expire here. Looks like NIP are on their way to their 3rd point.
That's the last thing you want when you hook. You hook an Atlas, as soon as you goes in, you take 1 point of chip, and you're like, oh, I'm just dead. Oh, I'm done. There's nothing I can do there. SSG, the concept of what they're doing is what they have to do. They have to keep playing like this, but MIP are starting to play around it a little better. They're waiting in the wings to pounce on the people who get disconnected. They're not letting themselves be far enough apart where they can't save someone who gets hooked, or they can't at least attempt to trade on a combo of ultimates. We'll have to see them keep playing like that if they want to convert this map. And I think SSG, Rashao maybe needs to play a little bit safer. Right. This does seem like a stat line observation, but you can tell he's kind of disconnected from his team on that one fight where the 4 of them were on the right. He goes for the overpower, and he doesn't have any damage there to really convert on it at all. Tenor came in to save him, yeah, but Rashao definitely could have, if he had 1 more DPS there, I think that could have converted. And that this could be a 2-2 game if that was the case.
But it's not the case, and it's a 3-1 game where SSG's back is against the wall. They have 5 ultimates, make it 4 once the scout comes out. This through time and space, just wide. Overpower on the opposite side, though, does connect. Hexafire walking forward for Bonker into the Inflame as well. Finally finds a kill on the back end. Crossfire from Alex, picks up a kill on Aries. Bird, come back here, says Sadak, gets the kill. Now he's gonna shell spin forward. Decides not to go through. Looks like Ancient Rage right at the last moment was used but killed off before he was able to get any value out of it. And the back and forth fight ends with Bittner on the point for NIP.
Still holding strong here, and they actually do have the Ancient Rage. There's that small delay between using the ultimate and getting the health boost, so he is still holding on to it. Exile to try to stop the touchers, but nothing really found with it. He has to cancel it. All 3 charges don't find their mark. Great flag by Bonker right now, though. Look at this triple tank collapse from NIP all over all over Aries, all over Rashao here. He won't get a touch. They're not getting cap time, so SSG have a chance to reset here with this Ancient Rage, but only Alex is killed for NIP.
Ancient Rage was used this time around. Diggy Dog's able to melt down that health bar. Bonker still playing aggressive here. Ice block onto the point. Might get cleaned up for FRZ. Does. Bird finds that kill. Overtime looking like it's bound to expire. And NIP, they strike first in this set and go up 1-0.
It was a big draft win for them, I think. They got exactly what they wanted on that map. Was their pick. They were first pick there, so good for them to get that. That's a rough start for SSG, though. Both teams, I think, kind of thrive on that momentum a lot. And NIP, if they can do something similar to that on the next map, it's going to be really rough for them.
And I think that's exactly what the doctor ordered for NIP. They've had such a rough couple of weeks, losing 3 straight games up to this point after only losing 2 in split number 1. So a big win on Shattered Desert. Back to the drawing board for SSG.
Yeah, they're going to have to figure something else out. New meta for them, basically coming back in. They still have time to figure it out, but you got to do it quicker than that.
Well, bounce back certainly still on the menu for SSG in Game 2 right after this.
iNap, powering the control room for the Paladins Premier League.
Welcome back, guys. Glad to see you all here again. Now, NIP looking dominant yesterday on Shattered Desert, looking even more dominant today as they take it over SSG, in this case, 1-0. Now, once again, we had talked a little bit about it before, Gore. We had talked a little bit about how SSG has a little bit of map inexperience when it comes to Shattered Desert. So not really to harp on them too hard, but I mean, it is what it is.
Well, it's just one of those things, you know, and this is what I was really, I think, driving at when I was talking to you about it. But it's just when you look at it like yesterday, Stone Keep, Serpent Beach, you know, maybe Frog Isle you throw in there, et cetera, Jag Falls, those kinds of maps. Everyone's going to know them. SSG are going to know them really well, and they're going to put up, I think, much stronger of a fight. The only round that they really had that I think I could argue, and this one was a great round, was really just off the back of Sadak and a ton of really good hooks.
Right.
And so, you know, looking forward to what they maybe have to offer as they adapt to it. But NIP seem to have been almost completely dialed in on them. And, I mean, it comes down from Triple Tank and the Tyra.
Yeah, I mean, the triple tank itself was very powerful. Of course, they had Atlas, but of course you can't talk about that without talking about Mr. Alex here on the Tyra. Now, here is why she's so prevalent. It's because literally it's 2 words: hunting party. That's it.
Yep.
That's all that comes to mind whenever you talk about this Tyra. You see the damage there, 67,000, nothing too crazy, but once again, there's no damage amplified stat. So I'm sure if you saw that, then that's when you were really starting to see Tyra start to take off of the ground.
And it's honestly, it's refreshing. I mean, one of the things I was saying about Eevee prior to getting into the game was just that Alex admittedly hasn't had as clean matches when he's been playing Eevee the last few weeks for them, whereas for FRZ God, it's great. But Tyra was able to kind of deal with both of those on this map. I think it was also really solid for them having the triple tank, especially with the amount of damage they had. I mean, between Ruckus and Atlas, they just absolutely eviscerate anybody. They didn't care about Eevee. She didn't have anyone she could really drop in and kill other than Alex.
Yeah, I mean, eviscerated game 1. Game 2, though, we're looking at Bright Marsh now, of course, which is even perfect because, once again, SSG, I believe, they were the ones that ended up picking this map, which makes sense. You had mentioned it before. They would know how to play on certain maps. The maps that everybody pretty much knows how to play on. Shattered Desert, a little bit less picked. So in this case, it's going to mean a lot coming into this matchup, that's for sure.
Honestly, if I was going to put money on anything, it absolutely would have been Serpent Beach here. I think it's a really strong map for SSG. And usually it's where they tend towards, but Bright Marsh, I think, is going to be just as strong. curious to see the Nara ban. I know Rachao really loves his Nara, really loves his Barrack, but admittedly I think has performed better on the Barrack. And maybe NIP are kind of playing around. I mean, depending on, well, actually with the Ashman along with it, someone's getting through.
Right.
But that means they'll have Barrack, which we just saw Bittner
Right.
playing. But, you've got 3 guys on this team who can pick it up and play it at an incredible level. And if they can take that away from SSG, along with the Inara, and kind of force Rachao to be uncomfortable, this point control is almost already in their favor, and they haven't even finished the ban phase.
Right, exactly. I mean, they have to get rid of the Torval in response. And like you said, they already got rid of the Nara. They decided to get rid of the Ashe, the very first 2 bans of this game, of Game 2. And that's what makes it so interesting, because they got rid of the Torval. NIP can choose. They can take whatever time it is they want to, leave it open. They decided to get rid of the Willow in this case, which I do agree with that. But I just explain a little bit as to why that is a good ban indeed for NIP.
It's this perfect scenario where now SSG have to choose Makoa or Atlas.
Right.
And whichever one they don't choose, not only do NIP get it, so in this case they're going to get Atlas, but they can double down and maybe get Atlas Barrack all in one sweep, or Atlas Khan, whichever one they want to scoop away. Whatever they don't want SSG to have, they have more than enough capabilities to kind of strip that away from them.
Yeah, that's scary already.
It's that double dip. You get the Barrack away, now Rachao doesn't have a champion, and you get Atlas, which we just saw Diggy have a great game on.
Right, exactly. I mean, the Khan is open once again. Khan Fury. Now they're going to take away, which is what I like, because they NIP seem to love them some Furia. Bird more specifically seems to love him some Furia. So I mean, having that Inflame, couple that with Barrack Atlas, it's going to be really, really powerful running into SSG into this map. So I do like the Furia for SSG to answer to that, deny NIP that access to the Furia. But I guess the better question is, what do NIP look for in return? Of course, a Cassie could be an option here.
Yeah, Cassie wouldn't be bad. I mean, anything that can hurt Makoa.
Right.
I honestly wouldn't be upset with him if they just ran back a composition similar to last game. I mean, Barrack, Atlas, Tyra, plus, I mean, if you want to, actually Ruckus is really good on this map, and then a healer. All can fit, or you can go something to help deal with Makoa, which Grover is going to be able to, but Cassie, as you said, big game, is going to be able to deal with his health bar. And honestly, this is the true reach. This is me going out on about as small a limb as you can. I wouldn't even mind them potentially even trying to run a Sky here.
That's what I was thinking too. Like I know that we don't see it as much, but we see Sky being brought out against the Makoa because of how fast she can burn him. Poison bolts are going to be so powerful running into him, and they have a Grover. So she'd be able to really flank, be able to retreat back to her team. They're not really going to leave the comfort zone of Grover.
Yeah.
So
when you come, I want to say, if you combine that with the fact that stealth now being doesn't knock you out, she gets stealth, she gets out. 9 times out of 10, you should theoretically be able to get to your Grover.
Right.
And again, maybe I'm barking up the wrong tree, but I would actually absolutely love to maybe see that. Might not work as well into specifically the Drogos, especially if they go combustible, but it's one of those those concepts I'd love to see teams maybe play with a little more.
Right.
And I expect we might see teams kind of mess with that, not only going into next week with a meta shift, but also going towards the kind of end of the split as you're just trying to figure things out, maybe going into qualifiers and things.
Right, exactly. I mean, playing it a little bit safe, they might try and go for the I was thinking Eevee more so than anything. I mean, I was going to say May, but then I was thinking about Enlightenment, I was thinking about Ancient Rage, I was thinking about so many of those other things. The Midnight Wind work is effectively on that team. So I personally was thinking Eevee. I feel like that can be a good pick for NIP to sort of answer back with, to deal with not necessarily this Leon, but be able to put pressure on the back line. They already have a very, very aggressive, sort of death ball composition. They're going to be really grouped up around this Grover. They're going to try and play around that. So, I could also be wrong, which I'm interested as into why. Does this pick sort of make sense to you?
Yeah, honestly, it comes down to both of them feeling good, but again, end of the day, push comes to pull. Alex hasn't had the best EV performances,
right?
And I feel like NIP are maybe recognizing that. Maeve, kind of the end-all be-all, very good mobility in a very similar fashion. Might not have the all kind of catch-all that Ice Block is, but good damage against Leon, good damage against Furia. I would argue, from what I've seen in the last couple of weeks, I've seen more Maves get to the backline and kill a healer than I've seen an Eevee. So maybe more potency there to get rid of that Furia. And she can chase down Drogo. So she kind of encompasses 3 of those champions all in one.
Right, exactly. I mean, both of these compositions are looking pretty good already, but of course, they look good on paper. How will they fare in game? Game 2, let's start it.
Well, regardless of how good you look on paper, you gotta forge that paper into a paper airplane and let it soar up into the sky. That certainly tracks. Bright Marsh, game number 2. NIP strike first over SSG. We thought they might opt for a triple frontline composition. They don't this time around. They go Grover, throw a little Cassie, a little Maeve in there as well. You and I were having a discussion. She didn't get picked, but we rarely see NIP pick up the Eevee. I mean, yesterday a little bit, and we thought it looked pretty good, but just not quite totally in their wheelhouse.
Yeah, it's strange how they do kind of shy away from it, because I do feel like Maeve is better into the Drogos, but not, I think, into the rest of the composition. FRC doing a very early dismount salvo to try to get some people out, but a little too early. I think they actually ended their draft very well at countering triple tank. Leon Drogos, I mean, remember the old triple tank tell on this map was, oh, never mind. I was going to say Drogos is a problem for triple tank, but if they had the Maeve there, it wouldn't have mattered. Alex just taking FRC out of the sky, establishing aerial superiority.
Yeah, that's right. The last few daggers hitting. Around 15 health is where the Drogos was prior to being taken out. Bittner and Bonker tossed their names in the kill column as well. Bittner is looking for his final destination to complete this zone. NIP fighting from the point, 39% as we stand, a minute and a half into this one. First couple of kills, both over to NIP. That frontline engagement on the left-hand side. You have Ares in range to help contest, forced back as the stasis field, of course, comes up, blocks off so much of that area on the right-hand side, allows a good escape for NIP. Bittner, though, hitting the last shot. Freeze God trading out. Still the numbers for NIP here, though, as Alex gets another one onto Sadak.
I love watching the fact that NIP love Temporal Divide. I love seeing them use it because it fits them so well. You can speed boost with Beyond the Veil your entire team to go in, and you can just cross a lot of distance very quickly, and that's what NIP wants to do. They love that very aggressive play style. SSG Rishao knocked off
control.
the point. Yeah.
I mean, that's nuts. I mean, if you really consider it, if we could look at the slash lines right quick, I'm curious as to, they have 7 kills total, which I guess is a pretty standard amount towards the middle of this game. Only 2 on the opposite side. They found those first couple of picks and did not lose any of their territory. The trades were so effective.
Yeah, they knew exactly what they could get away with. SSG, this tank composition does not seem to be going great for them. I mean, 2 maps in a row with the Makoa Khan, and it doesn't seem to be finding exactly what it needs to. You'd expect to get more out of your overpowers and your dredge anchors, but if you're not connecting them or not getting follow-up, that's going to keep happening. That's kind of the whole crux of the space your tanks can make, and if you're not getting it, your tanks aren't really going to do much of anything.
Uzi and Flame, it's going to follow up on the Dragon Punch that is bailed out of for FRZ. So now you don't have Inflame. Now you have 40% on your Dragon Punch and Midnight on the opposite side. That's scary. Enlightenment rips through, doesn't find any targets as Alex is looking for a few more daggers to drop off Sadak, who's hanging out around that back corner bunker. Cleans up Rishao. Now you have one 10% health frontliner who gets deleted in NIP. They peel backwards on the back end of some aggressive ultimates for SSG, and they do it successfully, find themselves up now 2-0.
Yeah, great by NIP, honestly. They're just playing so well around this aggression. They're kiting back for the pick attempts, from SSG. Immediately coming back in as soon as the situation opens up to it. The Grover able to keep everyone alive and moving in that kind of pushing forward for these picks, death ball. You can see this is one of the better aggression. Like, they can't get out. That's one of the things about Bright Marsh. That's why it's such a snowbally map. If you get pushed back here and you're at a disadvantage, the enemy team smells blood in the water. You can't stop them. You can't get away. There's nothing you can do at that point.
I mean, now you have to look at missed overpower, Dragon Punch, that got pulled back, and Flame that wasn't really followed up on. I mean, the thought process was there for SSG, just none of it really connected in that case. You use Midnight and Whirlwind on the opposite side, still have Dome Shield, still have your Exiles. Of course, an Ancient Rage is ready to go on the opposite side. Dragon Punch will soon be ready to go as well. NIP didn't lose a single step on this last mid, opting for a similar strategy, sending Diggy Dog to the right-hand side over here, just poking off to the high ground there, finding themselves back on the point yet again. One more pick could do it. You saw how effective they were on the back end of cleaning up Alex for the first kill in our last round. Looking for the Exiles onto Sadak. That might be a cue to really start fighting here. Not a lot of healing. One more volley of daggers will do it. Pops the Ancient Rage to stay alive. Shell spins in. A beautiful hook. Pulls you down to my level. Cleans up Alex as well, but immediately traded out with Bittner.
What a play by Sadat going in, barely surviving through the Maeve's pressure with the Ancient Rage and trading out immediately. Good overpower through 2 little cracks in the wall to get Tenor. You gotta throw him, and he does. Even through this setback, gets picked, but I think this is still looking good for SSG. Aries dueling with the MFRZ coming in to catch Diggy as well with the Dragon Punch. He's gonna get chased down by Alex, but might just barely get away in time. What a hook by Sadat to catch Alex too!
That's a second hook on Alex. Down from the air he goes. And SSG with the fast cap are going to be in control of this mid. Bittner finds Sadak though, and Flame wears out. Still a chance for NIP to get back in onto this one. Drop down the Dome Shield. Scout gets thrown out. Ziggs flying high above. A couple more shots from Bittner will do it. Dodges out the Exile just to stay alive. But the setback from Diggy Dog delivers Aries right to NIP, and point 3 goes up on the board.
The Dome Shield from Bonker was just enough to hold that point, so nobody on SSJ ever had a chance to contest it at all.
Yeah.
That pick on the side, important, but that point fight, that duel between Bonker and Rashao, Khan just can't keep up with Barrick. I don't think he can. Not with the amount of damage and the amount of sustain that Barrick kind of has on his own. Barrick's cooldowns are resetting, and you're constantly getting healed from your healing station, and between Shout and Shield, it's just not enough to keep up with that at all.
That's always the question, is if you're going to, I mean, I guess you throw, you know, Makoa into that kind of off-tank category, as Alex finds a couple daggers up and over. Sadak is going to fall as well. Traded out, though. Double kill from Freeze God. At least stalls this one out. Tense moments for SSG to avoid going down 2-0 in this set. 2 very quick games on the menu for us here. Rampaging FRZ is going to force him back. I digress to the point, though. Who's the point tank here for SSG? Khan, Makoa. I mean, Makoa wants to get up in the face. Khan wants to do the same. Are they looking to win the fight and then peel back and capture the point?
I think that's what they have to do, but they have to somewhat contest Bonker. They can't leave him alone, and I think that has to be Rashao.
Yeah.
You have to have the hooks to stop the people from coming around, especially the Maeve, as we saw earlier, but right now NIP just walking back in, walking all over them. Huge stagger on the DPSs means SSG will buy time here, but they're not going to be able to find a single kill.
The Exiles do come out. That's 2. Stunned out, up on the top, shell spin in for Sadak here, finds the hook, but only finds death on the other end. Now you only have one frontliner down to contest, and Flame, they need to find some kills here. Dragon Punch does not connect. Bonker finds the shots, and NIP, they find win number 2 in this set.
SSG have to fix something in the draft.
Wow.
I don't think their gameplay was too bad, other than just their tank line could not contest with what NIP brought to the table. They need to do something about these power tanks that are getting through. That Ash Torvald ban, on paper, great against NIP, but clearly not executing.
I mean, NIP have said, okay, you'll take the Makoa, we'll take the Atlas 2 games in a row, and that's a risky game to play, giving NIP, I mean, of course, giving Makoa to the opposite side as well, but NIP just drafting a little bit better around those frontliners. They have the Barrack for Bonker to pair with it, and things just looking good for them.
Yeah, the point tank pressure was really tough for SSG. They need to definitely get that in their draft soon, or else that objective could just snowball this entire set.
Well, there's some stuff to change for SSG, and you got to do it quick. Just 2 wins away from finding their first win out of 4 games, or NIP. Find out if they can do it right after this.
Alienware, the official PC provider of the Paladins Premier League.
Welcome back, guys. Well, if you blinked, you would have ended up missing the game it was that just happened. NIP currently taking it 2-0 over SSG. A quick 4-0 at that. I mean, Bright Marsh, we were talking about a little bit. We were sort of gassing SSG up about how, they do pretty well on Bright Marsh. They're doing this, they're doing that. But NIP, I mean, they're I mean, I don't know what else to say other than they're dominating.
I mean, there was so much in that set, or in that map, but it is all really just NIP. Know Bright Marsh really well. They know SSG well enough. And again, this goes back to kind of what I was saying, but I mean, 4-0, 4-0 in the first split,
Right.
4-1 at MSI, like SSG and NIP, however you want to cut it, SSG just do not know what they need to beat NIP. And I mean, you have an undying bird, 1-0-25, a 26 streak for him, 8-2-14 for Bittner. Like, Alex had the most trouble overall, whereas on the other side, yeah, Aries, not exactly the kind of performance you want to see from your Leon to kind of equalize things out.
Yeah. I mean, 0-5, 3-8, so on and so forth, all across the board. Just wasn't looking good for SSG. But Diggy Man on this Atlas. Now, this is typically why you don't want to just give up the Atlas to NIP. Not necessarily saying that, and not necessarily that SSG did. NIP just played the draft smarter, is what I would say. Not necessarily that SSG were giving up the Atlas on purpose. It was more so just the fact that I just think NIP had a game plan coming into this, and clearly the proper bans were there. They both got rid of they got the Barrack, they got the Atlas. One of Rachal's better characters, and the Barrack in that case. I mean, they locked both of the frontliners. They popped off with it.
Yeah.
The Grover played a very big role. I mean, the rest of NIP just followed suit right behind Diggy.
Honestly, the note I put was really just Diggy is just a good Atlas. Like, when it comes down to it, I mean, he's, hitting these shots. The charge shot does 900 damage. I mean, it's 900 no matter how you hit it, but he's being patient with it. And there were times, like, I mean, in that clip, you see him hitting a headshot. It's 1350. Being able to find those difference-making shots is really what they are. Just gives NIP control. And I mean, with a 4-1, a 4-0, like, this is that moment for Serpent Beach that if SSG don't turn it around, they're done at this point. Like, NIP are looking too good.
They're looking really good in this case. Serpent Beach being the third map. I mean, in your case, Gore, you wrote down like a little bit more than it was I did. I said that NIP carried momentum over from the last game. It's already a pre-4 minute cap, and then I put easy clap next to that immediately after. I mean, NIP, they're just here to play, man. They get rid of the Anara again. Torvald's gone to SSG side. Atlas gone as well. I mean, and this time, yes, good. Get rid of the Atlas. You don't want Diggy to be able to pick this up again. You want to make sure that you just get rid of him. SSG, I guess we're just sort of playing around the fact that, maybe we can sort of deal with the Atlas. No, you don't really want to give that up to NIP. I was just talking about how they didn't necessarily give it up. But the more I think about it, yeah, they sort of just let NIP run rampant with that draft.
Now NIP have to kind of make the decision as to what they want to let through. I wouldn't be surprised if Makoa kind of just fills that ban slot, and we go back to quote unquote normality for these teams. Although anything can really happen here. Specifically, Strix has been big. The last few Serpent Beaches that we've really kind of been able to see. Kanessa has fallen off, even though she used to be kind of like the go-to sniper. And just being able to run Strix in this meta kind of opens things up. But Makoa is going to be the one who gets banned away. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Leon, Cassie, and Strix somewhere in this draft. Maybe take away Leon or Cassie, but if NIP can put Bittner on Strix, they're happy.
Right, exactly. I completely agree with that. NIP opting to get rid of the Anara once again. Now, this leaves first pick open. In this case, if I were SSG, I would try and lock in that Barrack first, personally. He is open. They are giving them a chance. They opted to get rid of the Torvald. They opted to get rid of the Atlas. Makoa, Anara are gone from NIP's perspective of things, and their ban as well. But no, they actually decide they want that the Khan is first. This is what they want to go for, which is interesting because we were just talking a little bit about how Rachal, he loves some Anara. He loves some Barrack. And now Anara's gone. They lock Khan first and not Barrack this time. Could you think as to why that is?
Sadak does really well on Khan, and like this kind of keeps in line with what they've been doing last week, what they were doing yesterday. Like Khan, for some reason, like even whether or not they have a great performance with him or not, is so highly valued to them. And it is that, like, again, I guess you turn back to MSI when they were playing.
Sure.
Khan and Ash dominated at MSI. They were part of like the number 1 and 2 picked champions throughout all of that. But it's not winning SSG games. That's where the disconnect is. Right. They're still drafting with that kind of mentality when these were such high priority. But I feel like they are maybe giving up too much in the process. And I will also throw out, because of this, even if they go like Con Ash, whatever, Willow's still available. She hasn't been banned, and this is a map that she can be very good on. If you let NIP get Maeve and Willow, you might be just signing your own death sentence.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking a bit questionable already. The pink mouse, love it. Love that color entirely. But I digress regardless. Ash, Cassie. I mean, it's really a consideration from SSG. It's really why they're hovering these characters. They haven't locked them in quite yet. And I do agree with that. Do they really want to give up the Willow? I mean, I'm pretty sure, Freeze, notorious, he can play blasters. He's played Eevee very well. He's played Drogos very well. Just try and lock in that Willow to be able to counter that Barrack. I mean, I can understand why Cassie would be so strong, which is what they ought to go for. But I don't necessarily agree with that being necessarily their third pick. I feel like they could have just waited on that like a little bit longer. I feel like the Willow in this case, especially on Serpent Beach, is a lot more powerful. And there are the hand warmers right there coming out, making sure his hands are nice and toasty, getting ready to play some good old Paladins. I mean, I'm really just trying to consider. I mean, Cassie is good, but I agree with you more, Gore. I really think the Willow would have been a way better pick. And there it is right there.
Yeah, hovering over it with the Genos. Not a bad look for an IP.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to maybe go a little deeper to find your off tank, but you could also just go triple DPS. I mean, you've got plenty of players on this team that not only pick up good DPS players, but Diggy has played that in the past. You want something that maybe does fit in. You can put him on the Willow. He used to be a blaster way back in the day for Kanga. Then you have Maeve maybe for Alex. You get Bittner onto Strix. Like, you could very easily kind of switch this over in momentum. And even with just a Barrack, you have more point presence, or maybe at that point the same point presence as SSG, since they don't have necessarily a quote-unquote point tank in Ash and Khan. And if they lock in Leon, I'm assuming it's going to be kind of an Ares Leon pickup.
Yeah.
Didn't look that good last game, so it's kind of putting a lot of maybe pressure on him to perform once again.
Yeah, I mean, he has to keep in mind, of course, that we are dealing with NIP here, having the Maeve, having the Willow, the Genos, the Barrack already looking extremely strong. Hopefully Ares can sort of wake up and not necessarily pop off, but at least hold his own this game.
Yeah.
He literally had a no-kill game last game on Brightmar, so I'm really just trying to consider what NIP could go for. Really, it's all up in the air. They could really just pick whoever it is they want to. I'm expecting a Nando, considering the fact, not because like it's one of the only things that's left open at this point. That would make sense. They have the Khan, they have the Ash. Barrack's already gone for them. Makoa's gone, Anara, Alice Torvald, Strix. Okay, well, they're going to opt to go for triple DPS, which is, I mean, that makes sense. That makes complete sense to me.
Yeah, literally exactly what I just said. They grab what they wanted. Maeve can flex around probably onto Alex. Willow going to be able to come in, potentially for Diggy if they want to. And then Strix probably going to Bittner. They can flex around those picks however they want to. But Barrack synergizes really well with Genos. The amount of damage NIP have here, it just is going to blow everything on SSG just away. They won't be around. I'm not sure they're going to be able to sustain it all. I think Inflame's maybe going to bring them back in, but Freeze God has to have a really good Cassie game, Leon on Ares, or vice versa. Whichever one gets what, they have to have the best DPS games right now, or I think NIP is just going to walk through them.
Yeah, I mean, well, we'll have to see what they have in store for us. Game 3, casters, take us away.
Well, Game 3 about to dive in, and if you're looking at NIP, now we've seen pretty much every array aside of quad DPS. Triple tank, pretty standard in Game 2, and now triple DPS. Trying to see if they can do it all. I have some confidence that they can in a scary triple DPS composition to play into. You got a little Willow, some Strix is notably where my eyes go. Bittner has proved time and time again he's one of the best Strix players in this league. Do you think on the opposite side, SSG have what it takes to deal with what NIP are bringing to the table here?
It's going to be rough for them, I think, with the tank composition they have, because it's going to be a lot of point. Triple DPS is a very point-focused comp, as weird as that is to say, because a lot of the time you just kind of play on angles that can, one DPS maybe watches one side, and then your point tank still contests while the other DPSs support him to help him win that fight. It's going to be really hard for either of the tanks in SSG to win that fight, to win that duel, but actually it looks like they're going to play more on the side, just meeting each other. Sadat getting chunked down immediately. Alex with a good vertical angle onto him, but has to kite back, and everyone's just meeting up here, but Mitau just caught just a little bit out, taking down my tenor.
I think everything starts to waterfall from this. The aggression from Sadak forces him back, and now Diggy Dog, he's free and clear to hunt down the rest of the last couple of members of SSG here as they peel back into base. NIP plant themselves on the point. NIP, are fighting from the point now, and a well-calculated start to this game. They realize the aggression that they can play around. 66% for NIP. One last chance to maybe get in and get a touch here. If you're SSG, shoulder bash will be in range to get a touch. Expect that to maybe come out here in just a moment. 93, 96, maybe a touch on the opposite end, but they don't end up finding the space.
Too much damage coming in. I don't think Sadok's able to go in there and touch it. A lot of the pressure in this game is really on Sadok, I feel.
Yeah.
It's so hard for them to be able to contest the point if they don't get the pressure on the sides first. Great
nice
flare bounce.
Wow. I love that.
It's so good.
I love me some Strix flares. I mean, obviously the kit is so snipe. Swap to your pistol, follow up that damage. But a good flare burn is just something that's so awesome to see, and Bittner can absolutely do it with the best of them.
For sure. NIP are also really good right now at recognizing the threats that are being presented to them. They know how important Sadok is for making room and denying the angles that the DPSs want to take, so he goes in to try to stop Bonker from getting up top, and he immediately goes down. I mean, there's just no way around it. So Khan is not the best vertical tank. Definitely his most difficult area to play it, and unfortunately, the soles of his shoes, they know his shoe size, and they also know that he's in the grave.
Just shoots him in the foot with a flare and then follows up with a snipe into the foot as well. That was just too comical to watch. Good fight back, though, from SSG. They're able to retake this payload here for just a moment as NIP were rolling, snowballing towards that final spot for the payload, looking to go up 2-0. A couple more snipes will do it. Is this a spot now where you think maybe Strix struggles a little bit, this first choke point?
If he stays far back enough, I don't think so.
Sure.
I think it depends on what angles he's protecting, but look how far back SSG are. This orange area is completely open, and they don't have a DPS or a tank that can kind of cross that gap from the outside to get behind him. So he knows as long as they watch upper, which their Mave or Willow will be able to do, he's almost completely safe here. You can see how far back he's already zoning Ares. Ares can't really help the cart much at all. Bonker still now getting low, but was relatively healthy that whole time.
And you could really tell he was putting so much of that focus on Ares in the back line. Faye Flight starts this one out for NIP. Countered out by Overpower. Bird is going to get cleaned up by that one. Rochelle, though, spends a lot of time. Bird doesn't end up falling down. He's still alive. Bird never dies. And the rest of the kills all go to NIP. And this payload rolls itself through. What a blunder there from SSG. They find the overpower they want, but NIP follow it up with some important kills.
FRZ just didn't have the cooldowns up to get the kill. He had the overpower. It was decent timing, but Bonker was too close. Again, the pressure made from Tenor on that orange side angle just lets them walk in. Bonker just walks in under the threat of two backlines because it doesn't matter. The rest of his team is doing so much on the other sides that he's completely free there in main. So unfortunate. At the very least, SSG, I'm sure they're like, all right, we got Dome Shield.
Right.
You know, that's like, you got to take some win out of that, because if you don't, it's going to make things snowball even harder for you. Really rough for them in that situation, but they do still have a couple ultimates here to take in. They have Enlightenment, Assert Dominance, and Assert Dominance I think is the biggest one, because that's how they're going to get onto these DPSs, cross that distance, and deny the angles that they're going to be trying to take.
Well, it's not going to help if Midtown dies right off the bat. I was going to say, I mean, that's a good range for, Sadok. Last time around on this high ground, shoulder bashed in, as he does again here up to the left. But now he has the ultimate follow-up if he needs it. Nobody from NIP is to be found up there, though. This Bonker hiding right beneath Waterfall. He's going to rocket boots himself out of that one. Enlightenment rips through, but FreezeGod loses his life for it yet again. The ultimates have just not been traded out effectively throughout this game. Ares cut off on his own, nearly dodge rolls into the flare. Flashbang into the low ground here. Sadok is forced to shoulder bash his way out. The fight continues up onto the high ground. Down comes the Assert Dominance, but NIP are able to peel themselves backward. You take the high ground, but you don't find any kills.
It's a great adaptation from NIP, though. I mean, playing on the ground, knowing how quickly Sadok's going to go in, finding the kills into main. FRZ, though, pushes from Dial, catches Bonker, kind of hiding from the pressure that Sadok's made. But look how deep Sadok is now. They have to get Diggy from this, or it's not going to be worth it. All the DPSs now, they get the trade, but that's one of their tanks out of the picture. Tank fight is more or less even because they have that one to throw away, but the other one's still coming back from spawn.
FreezeGod has stayed alive on the Sundial side this entire time. Started to wreak a little havoc on the left-hand side there as NIP lose their lives, and SSG, they're able to strike back here. still down by a point. They'll look to force this one in to tie the game. NIP, though, will feel comfortable to hold this one off and defend. And now you look at mobility. I mean, when you're pushing on this map, mobility is kind of king. If SSG want to get to the high ground, they have to wrap all the way around to this staircase.
Yeah, they have to go through the Oasis side. The only way they have up to get up really is, what, the Inflame? Like the little height you get from Inflame if you wall jump as you use it?
Right.
Or Assert Dominance.
That's a very specific.
And that's the only two possible ways they can get at high ground. And even then it's just Midtow looking at them.
Right.
Capable of doing nothing, but they use the Inflame instead to get some damage boost on the ground. They're going to use the pressure from the angles they take with it to make that room, but it's not enough. Sadat goes down, and look how low they are in orange.
Oh my, Alex, it's free range for him. He doesn't find the kills, but he did so much damage throughout that. Bittner with a double kill. Freeze God with the only thing to hang SSG's hat on this time around. That's the Inflame down. Assert Dominance was used a couple minutes ago, so that one's still at about 50%. And NIP are riding high. 5 ultimate strong here. And high ground is king. I mean, they're able to sit up top, free fire down, trade out the kills effectively, and force SSG back.
The best thing for them would be normally to, they didn't connect the overpower. I'll just say it before I continue. The best thing for them, they need to take orange, but Tenor's holding so strong on it that it's really tough for them to get. That room they're in right now, that is orange, because it is very bright and orange. If they take that angle, they can play near the cart. They can move it up without putting themselves under too much threat, and then get the cart around the corner. And that's the best way to do it. But Tenor is just doing such a good job at denying them Diggy's mobility. Look how far Alex is behind him right now, too. He's on their plat, spamming from behind, catches 2 as they back up. That's the problem with not having mobility on this map. You just get shredded and flanked every time you try to push.
Okay, that's 3 for the Willow. That clips this push right where it's at. Payload stalled out as NIP. I was going to say they're setting up their defense, but they haven't had to move since this push started, since the card is stalled out where it's at. Orange, this bright, shiny orange room is Kresnik. So elegantly named.
I did not name it. I took the name from somebody. I don't want to take credit for
some
that.
Creative individual came up with that one.
I had to give context.
Gets traded right out, right? Of course. I mean, if nothing else. Well, it's certainly not purple, so, you know, orange does make some sense. Make it 3 for Bird. Wasn't even through time and space, just connects on the Star Splitter. He still has through time and space. NIP up 3-1 now. This is a big swing. If they're able to capture this one, SSG immediately down 3-0 in the set and got to win 4 straight to come back.
Especially against a team they've never beaten before.
Yeah.
I mean, in any matches, they've never really had that. They've never had that win. I mean, they've never even gotten a point in the regular season. They've gotten 4-3 multiple times, but never actually managed to take a map or take a set away from NIP whatsoever.
Look at those damage charts, too. I mean, 20K above, you know, the rest of their teammates are Alex and Bittner neck and neck. There's got to be some inter-teammate trash talk going on right now. Who's going to win at the end, right?
Yeah, they don't have the luxury to say that. I wish they did.
That's true. No, you're right. You're right. They don't have the... actually, it's probably good. If you're looking at it from a ranked aspect, probably good that mid-game you can't pull up damage charts. That's all by the wayside, though. Bird with the triple, with the good old left click for him last time around. Fey Flight from Alex. Starts off this mid, connects with Ares. Now it's all up to FRZ, who's able to trade back onto Bittner. But the Fey Flight continues its tear. Flutter up and over. One more shot to Rashao will do it. Now it's Midtow. Unfortunately, Furia doesn't do that much damage. Can't turn that one around. And look, NIP still have so much. Spacestation do as well. But plenty to absorb that pressure for NIP.
If NIP move forward and use things, then they could just stop SSG from even having a chance to touch whatsoever. Tenor actually looking for Sadat, and I think he knows he's there, so that surprise Assert Dominance isn't really going to be much of a shock.
96.
Here it comes, but it's dome shielded really effectively. I think, can they burn him?
Oh,
The
nice!
ground. Great shots by them to get it. Midtow's low and has to run away too, and no one can touch the objective.
Yeah, sure, you get the overpower. Some kills actually getting traded out on the backside. Midtow, Freeze, and Rashao keep them in this one. A nice double kill from the Leon, and somehow NIP... They don't hold on. They still have a chance to get back into this one, though. Assert Dominance got Void gripped out through time and space, and Midnight could be used to retake this mid. Bird looking for just one thing to end this game.
And Ares used the scout out of panic to try to find 10 or 2, so no real hard counter for the Midnight. Through time and space,
Nice!
catches
Oh my,
two! Ares
Bird!
rolled right into it! He couldn't get out of the way, great by them. They have assert dominance to buy time, but the picks are going into NIP.
Yeah, Birdie maybe just wins this game for NIP. The assert dominance drops down, but still on the backside. SSG are trading effectively. Bittner just needs to find a couple more shots. The first one goes into Sadak. FRZ into the Enlightenment, connects with Bonker onto this one. Bittner fighting tooth and nail to try to stay alive, but somehow SSG, they win the fight and they keep themselves alive.
I have no idea how they really managed it. I mean, the assert dominance, I guess they were too distracted by trying to stop Sadak. 1 and 9, too much of a threat for them. They just couldn't look anywhere else, and they get walked all over by FRZ dashing into the point at the last second. But now they're left in this very difficult offense again. I mean, they have to find a way to stop the flanks or just move so quickly that the flanks don't matter.
This has been nuts. Everyone take a moment to breathe. It's a 2-0 set, but SSG, they don't want to go out of this one just yet. That's twice. NIP win handily the first round of that mid. SSG start to trade back right at the important moment, force off NIP, and then a second win from NIP that looks a sure thing to end the game on the back end of a double through time and space. Traded out on the high ground. The assert dominance, as you mentioned, drops down. They keep themselves alive in this game. They weren't able to make much progress on the last payload push. Important to look at that, maybe make some changes. The overpower notably missed from Michelle last time around. Can't pull anyone down from the high ground. Still opting for this orange side, though. Granted, there's not much of another opportunity to wrap around. And Flame, though, could start something for them here. Rounding that final corner with some aggression. Diggy Dog, though, finds the kill. Good void grip from Bird. Picks up Freeze God, drops him down back to base. And peeling right back into orange goes SSG, and does not look any easier this time around.
It's a very well-adapted defense, I think, by NIP. They shifted Tenor more towards back here and kind of up there by where Bird is, and they put their Willow, they put Alex spamming into orange, so he has a lot more indirect fire. He's going to do a lot more, and he's going to be constantly resetting that Blast Flower proc. Constantly when they come in. The thing about Blast Flower, by the way, I don't know if everybody knows this. I think I've said it before, but I want to bring it back up. Every time you hit someone, it resets a 5-second timer that counts down. The stacks don't decay individually. If you hit someone every 4.99 seconds, you'll keep growing the damage.
Right.
And that will keep stacking as long as you keep hitting those shots. So very hard to escape Willow. They got to pick onto Bonker, which opens things up in main, but triple DPS, they don't really care about that. They want you to walk in to find those angles.
Bittner's going to hit those quick scopes every single time. The 90% damage reduction's not going to do it for Sadak this time around. 5 seconds left. Overtime will begin here. Diggy Dog, though, finds some daggers. Bittner as well. Drops Freeze. This one's going to expire. Still 3-2 for NIP. SSG are going to need another big mid performance to save this game for themselves. Still looking good ultimate-wise, and I think we're going to get a sneak peek or a replay peek this big through time and space, but it was all for naught, remember. I mean, this is a huge potential game-winning snipe. The dodge roll right into it. Oh, no, for Ares. Luckily for him, though, SSG are able to come back into this one and win that mid.
Ares is like, checks in the, your PayPal payment has been processed. I will roll into the Midtown space. Midtown needs, Midtown's not the only Genos who's allowed to get highlights in this game, but yeah, this was the crazy retake there by the end. Even the 3 people just couldn't deal with FRZ there.
Yeah, that was wild. I mean, the Enlightenment extends the life just a little bit. I can't remember if he got a kill on the back end of it, but then Bittner drops out, finds the snipe. I mean, that was so back and forth in that mid. Overpower does connect onto Bonker this time around, and IP were able to get 9% before that one expires. So now at a 4v5 disadvantage, and IP looking to just weather the storm. Not dropping down just yet, or SSG. No point time for them yet. That's going to give Bonker time to respawn, get back into this fight. But positionally, SSG have bought themselves a lot of space.
It's so hard for them to get on the point, because look, Strix and Willow spamming you. It's like, imagine a casual where you're like the only person that's trying to touch the point and the enemy team is only looking at you.
Oh, you mean any game I ever played?
Yeah, exactly. That's basically what's happening right now to them. Sadak's doing his best to stop it. Raid Assert Dominance will actually get rid of Tenor, so they have a lot more time to cap this point, but I think NIP set up really well. Diggy's still so far in the back line to surround them and force them into bad peaks.
This needs to be an effective Fae fight. It's not. You force Ares down a little bit. but Alex drops at the hands of FRZ. Dodge roll, not going to be into a through time and space this time. 75% for SSG. Half-fast cap mechanic puts them right around 79% as they step off the point, electing to go for position, for kills, over point cap at the moment here. Scout drops out from Ares as well. Diggy Dog with the first kill on this re-engage. Enlightenment from FRZ does not connect this time around. Alex has a couple kills. Everyone from SSG is dropping off. And now NIP are zoning for the win.
What a fast wipe by NIP. They scouted, SSG did, and I think they just got a little overzealous. They thought they saw a kill, went for it, and they just ended up getting completely surrounded and surprised, barely jumping over the third time in space.
Why
I
did they
told
do
you,
it?
checks in the mail, man. They're trying to just make some highlight plays, but NIP are currently surrounding Rashao, not even trying to touch the point. Sadak barely makes it at the last second, but not really. I think momentum carried in as he was jumping and just looked like it, but NIP bring us to a 3-0.
Yeah, wow, you hope. I mean, that was a big performance from SSG, notably that 3-1 mid to keep themselves in that game. You hope that wasn't the last breath of air that SSG had in this set. I mean, they're fighting back in a big way in each of these games. At least that one was a little closer than the previous two. A little bit better, though, from SSG. I don't think they quite lost this one in the drafts, as maybe they set themselves up poorly in the last couple.
Yeah, I think this is definitely a better draft for them. It showed as it was going on, but just the adaptation for the triple DPS near the end was really hard to overcome. I think NIP hit it really well. So hard to push on this map, and I think that just took the wind out of SSG's sails.
Yeah, I mean, the payload stopped at the same exact spot in both of those pushes for SSG. Only point caps for them in this game, but NIP, much the same, find themselves a win, potentially rounding out this set after this break.
The Paladins Premier League is brought to you by Evil Mojo, developers of Paladins.
De mi nivel, tú tienes el piquete de la forma que tú besas, mami, más simétrica que un origami. De la forma que tú besas, mami, más simétrica que un origami. Amarte es mi maña, que lo que toca mi mano se dañan, pero amor es lo que dicen, como un color entre los grises. Yo nunca te fallé, tú no eres cualquiera, tú eres la mujer, mi corazón anhela. Pasan por ahí todas esas poses que tú conoces, gracias a mi mujer, ni tu amigo, pero en vivo solo contigo disfruto el show, bebé. Alright, cita, dime pa' dónde vas, que yo te caigo donde sea. Eres perfecta mujer.
Welcome back, guys, to the PPL. Of course, what looked like it could have been SSG's first potential win ended up being another, not necessarily a clean sweep, but another win in NIP's books. 3-0 already against SSG on Serpent Beach. And I mean, man, they're just doing really, really well. NIP's just holding their own super, super well.
I mean, it's early game. It's all at Willow and Maeve, I think, that are kind of bringing them through. There's a lot that Bittner can do. He's taken a lot of good angles for them to kind of help facilitate that. But a lot of the pressure was bought by this Willow and Maeve.
Right.
There was a little bit of rough spots in the middle where SSG definitely were able to kind of pick up the pace and maybe match NIP. And then Bird decided he was done.
Yeah. He had clearly had enough of that situation. We already see the post game right here. Alex, of course, 107,000, 126,000 for Bittner. Slash lines all looking good for NIP. Bird, 10 kills. Now, that's not something it is you typically see. The reason why I'm bringing up that is because Mitau had a lot of kills yesterday, too. And seeing that on Bird, man, that's very, very dangerous.
I mean, Mitau, Vex, all of the supports. I mean, there's a reason that they were highlighted earlier. It's just when they come down to it, they've been playing out of their minds. But 4-11 here for Mitau, you can see that versus, 10, 3, and 28 for Bird. Coming in, having an 8.0 KDA for a game. And I mean, we've seen a couple of these. Cuss hit a really beautiful through time and space yesterday to find 3. But those are those moments where, I mean, they even lose this point fight. That's what blows my mind. They don't win after that. And that's the incredible thing about it. But it was very, very well placed, very well played entirely from Bird. And you're starting to see, especially with these teams the last couple days, they're winning kind of on their DPS performance, but more from who that support player is and what kind of impact they're having. I mean, you could have taken Maeve and let her have a bad game,
Mm-hmm.
or Strix have a bad game, or Willow have a bad game, and it wouldn't have altered too much about it because Bird had that performance.
Right, exactly. I mean, once again, an extremely powerful play coming out from Bird. Netted them, well, didn't net them the point fight win, but they still ended up winning the game. Once again, very shocking that it didn't. In this case, we're going to see what we have coming up for us in the next map, Stone Keep. Interesting. Once again, a map it is that we typically see just throughout the PPL, whether it be PCL, PML, regardless. It is a pretty standard map. This could be NIP's last game. This could be the last game of the set. SSG, no points already.
I mean, other than Shattered Desert, like we're missing Frog Isle, we're missing Jag Falls, and those are the only two of the like quote unquote standard maps that are really not in the rotation, or at least not picked for this one. But Stone Keep, I mean, this is so again. One of the reasons I think SSG looked really strong against Virtus Pro yesterday were because they were coming to the maps like Bright Marsh, like Serpent Beach, like Stone Keep, that are all very common and it's something they have played day in, day out. They know it, right? The problem is that Serpent Beach, of the three I just listed, is kind of the one that makes me think SSG the most. It's one of the ones they're the best on. Stone Keep makes me think more NIP. Like, I feel like Europe has normally dominated this map. They just understand the kind of playstyles for it. This is, I mean, do or die for SSG, so with back against the wall, they kind of have to open it up. And they do open themselves to some different strategies. I mean, Anara and Barrack being banned out means point tanks are going to be wonky this game.
Right, exactly. I mean, of course, you get rid of the usual suspects. You get rid of the Atlas. You get rid of the Makoa, excuse me. But Torvald's also open.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
I mean, that's going to be very, very interesting for NIP in case they opt to go for that, which I feel like they will. They normally always try to go for that decision. Khan being locked in first on SSG's side, though.
I mean, this could be Torvald Fernando. And, like, normally
Yeah.
I wouldn't mention Fernando this early. And they might not. Actually, this could be Torvald Willow. That's probably what I would rather see is locked in. Get Willow in here. She's going to just decimate everyone. This is one of the first maps we saw her come through. You go back over a year, is Bittner actually is the one playing her on Fnatic, picking it on this map, and is able to kind of pick her up and just run through absolutely everyone. And originally she started here, then she kind of spread out through the league, then she got squashed and no one played her for a while, and now she's back. So this is one of the maps that I think she will absolutely reign control on. And then as time goes on, I mean, maybe SSG go for the Nando. Maybe they switch something up, but I don't want to live in a world where Torvald isn't picked up there. I don't know if that's a good call.
Interesting. Okay, so Ash does end up getting locked in first. They opt to stick with that Willow as the third pick of this map. Well, not this map, but this game currently. It's going to end up here up 3-0. Khan being the only character that SSG has chosen. Maeve, okay. Now that would be interesting, of course, being able to deal with that. Willow, I mean, Maeve can deal with Drogos in sort of the same manner in a sense. I could imagine she would be able to deal with the Willow. And SSG might end up getting the Torvald.
And you know what?
What's up?
There's only one reason NIP would willingly not pick Torvald there.
Let's fist bump.
And that's that they know that they can deal with it.
could go
Right?
wrong?
That's,
Right, yeah.
And Willow already is kind of inherently good at dealing with Torvald just because with Dead Zone, you don't need Wrecker. Or you don't need Cauterize. You can buy Wrecker.
Right.
With Torvald, you can just full in on your Wrecker early on and cause a lot of trouble for him. Probably the Maeve, whoever else they pick for DPS, which I wouldn't be surprised if it was Cassie early on. And they still have the chance for a Vivian. They still have a chance maybe for a Victor who they could come through. Like a couple of champions that don't almost always come to mind with Stone Keep. They don't even always come to mind against Torvald, but can deal with him pretty well. So it'll be interesting to see what else they have, but they are pretty confident, I'd argue, in their ability to deal with him.
I bring destruction
Interesting.
to
Double
yours.
blaster in this case, potentially, at least. I mean, we see the Ash, we see the Willow, Genos, Drogos. Now, is this... I'm a little bit confused as to why. I see the double blaster. That's not something we typically see. Normally, you only really take one of them, and then you try and net a hit scan presence for yourself or something. Maybe you go for a Cassie, maybe you go for whatever. But why the Drogos here? What makes them feel like they can run double blaster with leaving Leon open? Are they just not that afraid?
I think they're confident. I mean, they kind of strip that away simultaneously. Ares is, a very solid Maeve player, and Drogos, I think, would pair very easily with her here for SSG. So it's one of those playing it potentially into a Torvald bubbled Leon, which is going to cause some trouble for him. But you strip it away from Freeze God at the same time and maybe make SSG slightly more uncomfortable, switch up some of their strategy. And you control the skies now. I mean, you have a tank execute, which is going to be able to eat through Torvald or Khan. You've got plenty of splash damage to control the objective between Drogos and Willow. And you look at, Banana, that little hallway. It's got a nice open little top on it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, maybe some Willow shots go in there, a Seedling in there, a Dragon Spit, anything is going to cause a lot of trouble for them. So they're going to be able to control the skies and maybe play a different version of Stone Keep, not fighting over the keep the entire time, not even fighting outside the entire time, kind of maybe a hybrid.
Yeah, and it's interesting to me because here's another question that I will pose because I'm genuinely curious. Is Furia, of course, is being locked in, but their SSG's team already seems pretty passive. Torvald is as a frontliner, but he's more like a support. You really see him going like Chrono, stuff like that. So how would SSG need to approach this to be able to try and fight NIP? Because their drafts looking good. This already looks pretty bad for SSG, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm going to say it this way. I think Leon has to go on to Freeze God, and I think Freeze God has to kill literally everyone. He has to do what Ricotta did yesterday, or else things are going to slip out of their hands real fast.
Right, exactly. Well, I mean, this could be potentially it. NIP up 3-0, SSG, no points on the board. This could be their first win. Casters, what do you guys think?
I think NIP are looking to take this one, but it's going to be a 4-3 if we're following the symmetry of this set. We've got a 4-0.
Yeah.
Then we had a 4-1. Last game was a 4-2, which leaves only one option, a 4-3 for NIP to seal this one out. Yeah.
Could also be an SSG win.
That's true. It could be. It could go the opposite way. There's lots of symmetrical things that could happen here.
You haven't seen that one before?
They didn't splice him in behind his teammates. He thought he was going to. That's pretty funny.
Way funnier that way, though.
Trying to keep the team together.
Blasters are good on this map, right?
Yeah, they are.
You would say that, but I don't know about Willow Drogos. I kind of feel like that's very inconsistent damage.
You know what it is?
Yeah, it definitely is. And it's going to be a lot of reliance on this Ruckus to finish kills, or at least to do a lot of damage, because if they don't have that consistent fire from him, I don't know what they're going to be able to find other than, very perfect shots from Tenor and Alex.
You know what I think happened? Yesterday, Bonker, put out his kind of disappointed after the loss tweet, and so some random person replied and said, "You guys need to play more Blasters." I think this is them taking that unwarranted.
Oh, really?
I think this is them taking that unwarranted advice into account. There's some merit to it, but you got a Torvald Leon on the opposite side. You got a Torvald on the opposite side as Diggy Dog finds first blood. FRZ is no more. Ares is able to answer back, but NIP, they're storming the gates here on the church side. All forced back is the blue. NIP tighten their grasp just a little bit on this mid. They're forced back. Nobody to take up that point. It could work, though. Drogos Willow, yeah. I mean,
for sure. It could.
But you got a Torvald Leon ready to do some damage.
No, Diggy. All you had to do was not dash. He dashes right into a beam with 300 HP and goes down, and it forces NIP back out here. They haven't shot at retaking Contorv. It's going to fall off so hard in the late game.
Yeah.
For sure. Wrecker is going to just, I think, tear them apart. SSG have to win this fast if they want to do it. Getting the first mid, I mean, they have good pressure right now, good presence too. Leon and Torvald holding this high ground. Only Ash and Will really contest them, and Ash is already very, very low. Ruckus not going to be able to make the room that they need, I think, and NIP have to find just an opening really quick, and it looks like they're going to make it themselves.
Well, there's their opening, the shoulder bash. If there wasn't one before, there is one now. Midnight drops down from Ares, playing within those vision circles so well. 96% for SSG. Diggy Dog's going to be the one to dash in, get the touch. Faithblade on the opposite side, though, for Bittner this time around. Finds a little bit of range, some damage in as well, but Sadak and Freeze stall this fight out right on its head. Bonker drops off, and Spacestation Gaming, for the first time this set, they strike first.
And they do it pretty well. Overpower just to stagger things a little bit more, make sure there's no touch coming in. SSG now up 1-0, and they have to keep this going. This has to become a 2-0 for their sake with how these drafts kind of panned out. They had good use of the ultimates, I think, there, and they are kind of taking a page out of NIP's book. I mean, people say that FRC is the strongest player on SSG. Well, let's pocket him. Tenor's the best player in NIP, so they just pocket him. If they can keep making that work, it could pay off for them. 1-for-1 trade direct onto the what is, I guess, the flex at this point.
Sure.
FRC finds another, and SSG are actually just baiting them in so perfectly. Look at this fight.
Oh! Make it 4! FRZ, talk about forcing it through. FRZ picked up the phone and said, "Hello, I'm here." NIP back, respawning. Nice quadra from the Leon. got a Torvald at your back, you better make good use of that damage. He certainly does. 94% on the Enlightenment. Ready to continue ripping through NIP if he sees the opening. Alex is going to look to turn this one around. Enlightenment doesn't catch anyone, or at least didn't find any kills. FRZ forced to slide his way out, but Alex blocks off the exit, finds the kill. And SSG are going to back themselves off with 1 minute and 20 seconds left.
You know, if any team shouldn't get caught off guard by a Torvald Leon, I feel like it would be NIP.
Sure.
You know? I feel like that should be it. And actually, interesting to note, Alex is uncombustible. So Alex is kind of playing that destroy you inside the room style, which would be good, I think, if SSG were looking to play inside of the keep, but I'm not sure if they are. Inflame coming in now for them, but Ares, on the side of the Inflame, is the first one to go down.
Tao's able to trade out, though. Dragon Punch is ready. Diggy Dog a little bit too far forward that time around. 63 health for Alex. He's able to stay alive. Payload stalled out right where it's at. Bittner so low. Decides to try to push FRZ, but the reaction's too quick. Pulls that one back onto Bittner. Blaster's gone. Only frontliners and healer up on this top ring for NIP. 30 seconds remaining. Ultimate's strong for the red side. They're going to drop down, get themselves a contest. Shoulder bash rolls through, looking for some damage. Overpower does not connect this time around. Bittner with the first kill in this one. Looking for a good Faith Light, maybe some good cleave damage inside. He finds it. FRZ forced down to the low ground. If you're able to clean up Sadak, that could be really, really good here for NIP. But a good peel back from the blue side is able to keep them alive.
They might be able to have a refight here, too. If they want to use something, they could use Midnight just to gain some ground. This is also probably one of the better points for Hyper Beam if Sadak can get in on the bottom left.
Yep.
Tough to get away with that, though, these days. Everyone kind of knows it's coming, and even he knows they're going to know. He comes bottom right to try to catch FRZ, but there's a lot of people in the way. Might not be able to get the bubbles, and he can't in time. Sadak finds Dicky, but 3 go down on SSG.
Yeah, Alex with a double kill just seals this one up. Utilizing some of that blast mechanic, forces himself forward. You mentioned that's an important one for SSG to win. They don't. Now we're still tied up at 1 in an early game that they would have hoped to run away with.
Yeah, and it's crazy. They're struggling into what I would say is almost like a counter composition.
Yeah.
Because I really feel like Torvald Leon into double blaster should be tearing it apart like this almost the whole time. The Elim resets on Leon is just so powerful. Having that presence burst damage up every 3 seconds basically, as long as you keep connecting them. So impactful, and especially when it's getting damage boosted by Field Study. This could be one of the last games we see it for a long time.
Right. I mean, I'm excited to see how that maybe changes the pick and ban phase with Torvald. Maybe not picked or banned. Open some other stuff up. That remains to be seen, though. I believe next week is the first time that one will be open. For this week, though, Midnight drops down. That's a great assert dominance from Bonker. Counters out so much of what SSG were trying to bring into that mid. Bird still has it through time and space. Didn't pair it with that assert dominance, but pairs it on his own. Finds the kill on the mid-tow. And everyone from SSG, save Alex, is cleaned up here as NIP retake the mid and now have their chance to maybe capture one.
Using every single ultimate, though, makes it tough to potentially hold this. They have Overpower and Inflame more or less online for SSG. So if SSG find a hole, if they find that place they can break in, it could be tough for NIP to hold it. They have no real way to counteract it. A pick from Ziggy would be great, but Ares does manage to get away in time, and Leon, pocketed by Torv, is almost unstoppable. Inflame coming in to get even more damage, too, and it looks like it'll be enough, even with Rochelle going down.
The shoulder bash gets Bonker out of range, but they were capturing that entire time. The aggression was there, but just a moment too late. And sure, there might be some kills on the end of it. That one's going to seal it up. NIP captured the point, and that would have been a good retake for SSG if it were just a moment sooner. You know, Diggy Dog's up on the high ground. He's facing Torvald Leon, and sure, he dies, but he buys a little bit of extra time. If nothing else, just bought a second or two.
That's all you can really hope from your Ruckus, at least in this meta. He really is kind of just a big, tanky character you just throw in, hope something happens. If he draws fire, then that's more than enough what you'd expect. Kind of why Ruckus' stat lines, I said this yesterday too, but a Ruckus stat line at the end of the day, he could be 4-11, and he could have been the most impactful player in the game. You really are just kind of trading your life for something, hoping your team can make something from it. FRC here kind of split from Sadak, but does get the bubble at the last second. Knocked back by Combustible, and Tenor is really far behind.
That's not your base?
Yeah, what? He's a mile behind, and he knows they're chasing him, but too low to live here. Kiting out FRZ, though, will get the passive regen, too, so total control by him. And actually, NIP, now that he's here, they have a chance to go in for a play.
Well,
never mind.
Nearly set a great spot. Thank God he got cleaned up right then, because I would have had egg on my face. Certainly, Bittner A little bit too far forward that time around as SSG set up their defense. Payload not an inch off of where it started here. What's your mid-game analysis on the Willow Drogos? Do you think it's hit its mark?
I really don't think so. At least maybe the Willow is finding a little bit more than the Drogue, I feel. The Dragon Punch helped a lot there, but I mean, look at that. There's really nothing they can do against that pressure from Leon.
Right.
They have no direct damage to deal with her. They can play out of the way enough. Good, actually, Combustible coming around the corner to knock FRZ into the rest of the shots, but they're totally surrounded now. No easy way to really contest. Ash gets stunned and will most likely go down in a second here too, but Ares is traded instead.
Wow, Alex does find the indoor damage. Rochelle, though, does the same. Double kill for him. Sadak getting the most recent one. Bittner looking to escape in this one. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to do so. 15 seconds left. Still the entire path to go for NIP. Looks like this one could be headed towards a 2-2. Might be able to get in and get a touch, but still so much ground to cover here. Not a moment to spare. We're able to get out. 3 seconds left, so they will at least start overtime. 5 ultimates ready to go. Clean up Ares, so they're going to get some progress here, if nothing else. And Rashao as well up on the high ground. If he's able to get picked off, becomes a little bit quicker moving here. But fighting into a Leon Torvald from the high ground doesn't sound all that exciting. But Freeze God's still alive. They turn their attention just a little bit too long towards Rashao. They forgot about Sadak and Freeze. That'll certainly end this round. We're headed to a 2-2.
This is definitely the hardest part of the map for NIP, though. I mean, looking at their composition, Double Blaster, they're really good at kind of locking people in chokes and winning these really close-range fights. When you're in the open, when people are able to kind of rotate and have all this open space, you're not going to get anywhere near as much from out of those characters.
Yeah.
Just not at all. So not too surprising that NIP lose that. I think they're really reliant on winning these mid-fights.
Right.
Now that the game is getting a little bit later, now that all these characters have Wrecker online, I know Diggy almost had Wrecker 3 on Ruckus. It's going to be a lot tougher for FRZ to get away with what he's been getting away with.
Right.
I mean, basically 30k damage ahead of Tenor right now, and that lead might start to equalize.
Sure. And you look at, you know, Wrecker 2 on 3 people for NIP. Those bubbles, especially if you're getting hit by Bittner, Alex, or Diggy Dog, not going to survive that long. 5 ultimates for both sides. This one is going to put either team on game point, potentially set point for NIP if they're able to capture this mid, playing very slowly. Don't want to get caught out on either side. A good fire spit, chunked out a little bit of shield damage. Bonker off to the side, could look for an assert dominance. Up onto the high ground there. Bird nearly won the game for his team with the double through time and space last time. Hyper Beam rips through. Bird connects yet again. Bonker drops down the assert dominance, gets a double kill for himself. Ares with nothing to stand on dies off. In NIP, they use 4 out of 5 ultimates. They clean up 5 members of SSG, and now we're going to try to zone the same as last time, one more time.
They adapt so well. They play
God,
really
these
far away.
overpowers.
They know that they can't cross the distance because Wrecker, those shields on the Torb were the only thing that were going to let them do it. Tenor actually might have overextended just a little bit. Midnight kind of not letting NIP figure out where they're going to be going. They also get off the point, so SSG in a decent position to get a retouch potentially, but Ares might be a little overextended here. Does barely get away, but Midtown might pay for it with his life. He tried to save Ares, and it just threw himself away for it.
Yeah, they both end up dying off that time around. Now there's 3 members of SSG in behind a Dragon Punch coming from Alex. Who's he looking for? Nobody, says FRZ, as he's cleaned up mid-ultimate there. Enlightenment rips through Bonker for a double kill for the Leon. 93% for NIP. The dash in from Rashao is going to be all for naught. And it looks like NIP, excuse me, if they're able to clean up just a couple more kills here, Bird ends up dropping down. Might just be up to Sadak. Overtime's going to expire, but not in favor of NIP just yet. That meter's going to start moving so quickly. Midtown might just have to throw himself in. He's going to elect not to do so. And now you got game and set point for NIP.
And it's going to be really hard, I think, for SSG. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked to see them get this defense, but with the way that mid-fight went, with how well NIP adapted to them, it's going to be, they have to have a hero play, I think, coming out of Ares, someone who's not being pocketed by the Torvald, for them to make the room. Diggy Dog dangerously low in the back, but does manage to get away. Bunker's actually kind of caught out on an island here. His team needs to come and help him, but they're not able to rotate in time. Not enough quick mobility with Tenor being caught inside the key.
Yeah, they said, nah, Bonker, you're a little bit too far forward. We'll catch you on the flip side and give it another chance. That's how it's going to turn out there. I don't want to call out anybody specifically, and here's the but I'm going to. I don't know if I've seen a connected overpower in this game. I think they've been literally hit or miss for Virchow, but unfortunately more miss in this game.
I guess he doesn't hit, huh?
I guess not.
Yeah. I think he's tried to go for them, but it's so easy for them to equalize that. I think they can dive really quickly with the tanks on NIP that they can kind of find any kill that they can. I think it's more they're not countering NIP's ultimates on the mids well enough. I noticed that Sadak nullified Bonker while he was in assert dominance earlier, and that literally does nothing. I mean, it feels good.
In
it feels
moment
like,
it does, right.
Yeah. It's like I pressed E, a beam happened. It's like an emotional win, but
Certainly
doesn't
that's
really
doing
do
something, right?
It doesn't do anything beyond that other than stop the knockback from happening. And FRC with a great flank from the top. No bubbles for him, but no bubbles needed as he finds 2 quick ones there. They trade out Ares inside the keep, but SSG still in a very dominant position. Both these tanks will not most likely be able to burn through a shower.
Just delaying out this mid. Looks very similar to how things did last time around. Bittner, though, finds the kill. It's at least moved off of the midpoint for NIP this time around.
That's a win.
So that's if nothing else, it's a win that they've at least made some progress this time around. Eerily similar to Serpent Beach, different maps, but as far as pushing, certainly not the easiest.
Yeah.
As we round the 15-second mark, NIP, 5 ultimates ready to roll. SSG almost at that point. Overtime's going to begin. Watch out. I mean, although it's just now halfway there, this is certainly a map where you get a clean sweep a little bit too close. This payload starts to move very, very quickly. NIP are an aggressive team. If they see an opening, might feel free and clear. One more shot, it would have done it.
They're willing
Didn't
to
find it. There's the overpower.
Yeah. They're willing to do something for it too. Overpower and Faithlight both coming in. Diggy not living, so I don't know if NIP are going to commit anything else here.
And they might not. With the double kill from Rashao as well, everyone starts to fall. Smartly backing off. Enlightenment, Inflame, Overpower, all used for SSG. And NIP, they use the Faithlight on their side, but they have a lot to work with in this next mid.
I feel like that was almost like an intimidation Faithlight.
Yeah.
Like they knew SSG had ult, so they just popped the Faithlight, and then they immediately, you're mine, little man, incinerate them. Like, haha, got him. Yeah. That's clearly not what they were going for, but it did force out a lot from SSG, and it's going to make things a little bit easier for NIP here. SSG really have to worry about this assert dominance. Never mind, I got used. Actually, that got used as well.
Okay.
Do you realize that? So that's actually pretty big for them, because none of the ults left on NIP's side are really that phenomenal. I mean, Dragon Punch, Hexafire. It's so hard to use a Hexafire proactively at this level.
I think
they're ready for it.
I think they're very conditional. If you're able to find a big snipe, then of course through time and space it's very impactful. If you miss, he's looking for it, connects, but just only a little bit of shield break for him there. The Midnight from Ares drops down as a reply. It's not a aggression Midnight though for SSG. That is a let's cover ourselves as we back off and fight around the banana side. Hexafire used. Dragon Punch, the only ultimate available in this game. An instant execute. Alex died last time around. He was trying to find a kill. Didn't connect on anything. Diggy Dog just looking for something. You're at a 3-3.7. SSG to keep themselves alive in this set. NIP to close this one out. First kill looking like it's gonna go on to Bonker, and it is. Dragon Punch from Alex. Might need to be used now more than ever. Beautiful combustible fire spit. Sets up a great kill from Bittner on the opposite side. Not using that Dragon Punch yet, maybe just trying to seal up the back end of this game as Alex Ares, though, finds Bird on the back end. A beautiful flank, cleans up the healer from NIP.
SSG has to stop playing inside the banana. They're walking into the tiniest choke on the entire map against 2 blasters. You're just getting shredded to pieces. Another great combustible by Alex, but caught out by Ares pushing back in. This Inflame's gonna let SSG retake a lot of ground here, digging dangerously low. Won't be able to trade his life out too, most likely, and now SSG have point control, but there might be enough time for NIP to get back.
That's a double kill from Freeze as well. Dragon Punch still not used. Faithlight's going to be ready, maybe for this retake attempt. You only have a shoulder bash to get yourself into range. That's the overpower that's now back up. Ares with potentially the game-ending daggers here. Faithlight does end up coming out 99%, not in range, and SSG find themselves their first win. It was a 4-3. But for SSG this time around.
And hopefully for them, that's a trend that will continue from there. And
now it's 4-2, 4-1, 4-0.
Yeah.
But for SSG, as we go back down the hill on the opposite side.
Exactly. But I would be more excited if I hadn't been very privy to the last situation where SSG was fought back from the 3-0. NIP took a map and then immediately, I believe, got 4-0'd on the next one.
Right.
So I'm cautiously optimistic for SSG.
We're in the booth. We say to each other as a team, if we're
Yeah.
a good team, we need to prove it now. We're down 3-0. This is our chance to come back. Did you come back? Of course not. 4-1. Well, we'll see if that ends up happening right after this.
Skillshot, the official production partner of the Paladins Premier League.
Welcome back, guys, to the Paladins Premier League. Of course, NIP were up 3-0 until this very last match. SSG catching their first win, in this case on Game 4. Like I said, what could have been a potential 4-0 just wasn't. SSG did really well. They found their momentum, and now they're here to play.
And honestly, this might be splitting hairs, but at the end of the day, I think if that Torvald is on the side of NIP, not on the side of SSG, then this is a 4-0, and we're wrapping up the set right now. I think letting that through hurt them, and that's what kind of kept SSG alive. Mainly because, and you'll see it in a second when you see Freeze God's slash line, as I'm sure you have seen multiple times throughout all of this. He decided to do the thing I said, which was you either play like Ricotta did yesterday, or your team gets knocked out right here, right now.
Yeah, I mean, 158,000 damage. That's the power of a pocketed Leon Torvald combo. 25 and 8 and 19. 19 assists, but 25 kills, 8 deaths. Literally the most credits as well throughout the entire game.
And, I mean, I think it's worth noting Mittal was 10, 5, and 25.
Yeah.
So, like, having a really, really good game versus Birds 3 and 9. But you just can't glance over the fact that Freeze God quite literally put the team in a backpack, put them on his shoulders, and carried them to this victory. I think if you put him at 10 and 10 like Ares, this is a 4-2 and NIP win, right? It's just the two combinations that they needed were Freeze God to do really well and Torvald to be on their team. I think you take either one of those away and NIP control this game easily. And I mean, they even went into the last point fight with an advantage. I mean, they had 3 ults. They had 3 ults over SSG. They had the advantage. They had Genos, they had Hexafire there for Ruckus, and they had the Dragon Punch. And I don't think that Dragon Punch got used. That's where like some of the issues come up. Like NIP, I don't want to say it this way, but they threw that last point when it comes down to it. I mean, they had everything in their arsenal. The through time and space didn't connect. It doesn't have to be able to win. Hexafire kind of created a zone, but Diggy just kind of spent time in their hallway in Banana and didn't do anything with the Spacey garnish. And then you have at the very end, the Dragon Punch, again, not getting used once.
Of course.
And that's just a free kill. Use that instead of trying to fight however they were. I don't know where their mind was, but I think that last point fight could have gone just differently if they play that a little different.
Yeah, I mean, it Yeah, it 100% could. I mean, like, yeah.
It could have gone differently
Yeah.
if they played it different. What a brilliant sentence by me. I'm going to coin that one forever.
Sorry, of course. No, there's no worries about that for that case. But in this case, FRZ, I mean, he did do really good. I mean, like, once again, we've already mentioned the fact, we've already sang his praises for this game. He's definitely popped off a lot better. And I mean, like you said, NIP just weren't really utilizing their ultimates or their characters in the way that we have been discussing previously before the game had actually started.
It felt like they came into it with the mentality of, this is a done deal.
Right,
we know that we're going to win.
Yeah.
And then, oh, this is not a done deal. SSG got their ults back because we didn't use ours. They got inflamed. They've got overpowered. Oh, we're dead. We can't do anything.
Yeah.
Like they had control, and they just slipped on ice, fell on their face, and everyone saw.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's good. We're going to have to see what map we're going to go into for this game. Let's see what we have in store. Jaguar Falls. You mentioned it before. You expect to see Jaguar at some point, and here it is. Jaguar Falls is open, ready to go. They do opt to pick for it for this map. And, I mean, once again, it is currently 3-1. SSG finally got their first win in a 3-4 on Stone Keep. So, I mean, it's really a matter if SSG can hold this momentum or, I mean, also if NIP, I guess, I don't want to say it like this because it makes them seem worse, but I guess take them more seriously, I guess. Like, that's the only way I could phrase it.
And you know, it makes sense. I mean, it doesn't necessarily feel like they aren't taking them not seriously, but it didn't feel like they put their all into that last fight.
That's
exactly where I am. And I mean, you know, depending on the rule of thumb, if they want Frog Isle, then SSG have to win. But I do not see too many worlds where SSG turn this one around. Jag Falls is a good map for them. But an even better map for NIP. This is so many versatile picks for NIP with Willow being banned out. I anticipate maybe Drogo's being a little heavy here. And depending on if Makoa or Torvald gets banned here, the other one gets through. NIP immediately know who they're going to grab first.
Yeah, I mean, you already see the bans coming out through here. The Willow's gone, Khan, Atlas and Makoa. I was about to say Atlas Khan. But Willow, Khan, Atlas, Makoa are all gone in terms of bans here on Jaguar Falls. And really, Jag is one of those maps where you can see a lot of different stuff, a lot of versatile stuff. And I also forgot to mention that Torvald was left open once again. And this time, NIP is doing themselves the favor of being like, okay, well, now we're going to have the Torvald. Don't let SSG deal with it. This is our character now. We're just going to try and take this for ourselves.
And it's just going to fit. I mean, again, this is probably one of the last few weeks that we're going to see him as potent as he is right now with the nerf coming through next week. But he is still strong. And I think that's kind of like, you saw him get let through a few times yesterday, and it was the fresh reminder of, yeah, he's still really, really good on certain maps here, or just with certain compositions. And same thing today. It's just that kind of awakening of, yeah, you know what? He's still ban-worthy or pick-worthy. If you let him through, whoever gets him just has a distinct advantage from pretty much the get-go. And so you're going to have to be able to figure out how to deal with him on the fly, or, well, have SSG take a game that admittedly was yours to lose.
Right, yeah. I mean, we already see the Barrack Leon being hovered. Barrack is locked in. Leon more than likely going to be locked in as well. Willow is off the board, so we don't really see any pocketed Willow in this case. Leon is picked, and this is a lot more scary for SSG in this case, because this potentially could have been what ended up happening last game, where they could have went Torvald and instead pocketed the Willow. But now they've picked these characters. Now that they have them, it's looking more like the NIP we're used to seeing.
And the thing that I love most about this, like, so Torvald, Barrack, you get your strong point tank presence, you get your off-tank supporty-esque play from Torvald, but it's probably going to pocket Leon, or because they haven't gone for him, Leon kind of wards away Drogo's for SSG, which leaves him available here for NIP if they would like to go for it. And since they already have their tanks open, you can bet that they're probably not even thinking about a Terminus over there. Or
explosives,
you can go for the other blaster, the one that NIP have absolutely decimated pretty much every single team with at some point or another this year, and grab yourself a pin.
Our only path is forward.
Pip is on the board as he's in the playing field now, so is Chinos in this case, which makes NIP's comp twice as scary as before. We already saw the Torvald, we saw the Barrack Leon. That was the last time it was. I was like, okay, their comp's looking really scary. And now it's, oh, this seems more like an execution that SSG's looking at right now. I mean, this is literally the NIP draft that you would expect them to pop off on.
And the problem for SSG is, you know, a lot of the things that maybe lined up to make that a pop-off performance for them last game, now they literally are lining up here for NIP. I mean, you've got Torvald plus another form of damage amp. Last game they had Torvald Furia. This game it's Torvald Genos. You get a really, really good blaster this time around who can kind of control things on the side, plus the Leon. And no matter who pilots that, you're going to have a good game out of NIP. Right. But knowing that it's probably going to be Bittner on the Pip, you can bet Alex is going to be picking up this Leon, and still it's going to be phenomenal. So they're going to have to figure out how to dance around this just to stop that. I mean, if you can get to Torvald at the very beginning, maybe you send Maeve around and she just executes him outright, that could potentially work out well for him, but that's a lot of pressure on just one champion.
Yeah, I mean, it most certainly is. I mean, like, they picked the Cassie to try and deal with those shields, of course, but at the same time, now, I feel like I already know what the answer to this question is, but I'm curious. What is your draft? Like, which draft do you like better?
NIP hands down.
Okay,
I mean,
that's what I thought. All right.
Granted, I also kind of felt NIP last game, so maybe I'm a little wishy-washy with all this. But I think they had a plan to deal with Torvald. They weren't able to execute it the way they planned on doing so, and that punished them. Also, you can't really account for Freeze God just going all demonic on you and deciding to slaughter everybody. This time around, everything is controlled and it's in their court.
Exactly. So here we are going into the next games. Casters, take us away.
Well, you might need one final demonic, as Gormizer put it, performance out of Freeze God to keep your team in this one, or three more if you want to end up winning the set, because this is a draft NIP have picked numerous times and they have won on numerous times. A map they're very, very comfortable with. And I'm nervous. I think they got the pieces to maybe seal up this set, but you can never count out SSG. They've had some gritty team fights, some mid fights over the last couple of games that have kept them in this set. So it's definitely not all said and done, not just yet.
I would love to agree with you.
Sure.
I really would, but this is a terrifying composition for many.
Yes.
This is literally, NIP have, I mean, okay, there's only one tenor, so you're not going to have tenor Pip and tenor being pocketed by Leon.
Right.
Alex will still put on an absolute fantastic performance on Leon. This is two NIP drafts kind of colliding together. I mean, we don't see these two Torv Pocket plus Pip on Jaguar Falls coming out. It could be so tough for SSG to deal with, because this is right in NIP's comfort zone. Or it would be if Bonker didn't just get left completely alone by Alex kiting back. They're still getting point time, but SSG have the player advantage.
Alex just noped on out of there, and Torvald didn't quite get the memo. Bittner, though, keeping up his aggression, could get the blast shot onto Ares, and he does. Bird, though, getting cleaned up in the meantime. SSG now back onto the point for the first time in this game. 21% for them. One more shot onto Rochelle. I think Bittner thought it was all said and done. It ended up getting cleaned up anyway, and there's your shot. Double kill from the Leon, one kill from the Pip. Now NIP with a chance to zone, get themselves 1 point closer to sealing up this set.
Perfect positioning there by NIP, cutting back into the enemy choke point, since they really didn't have any spawners coming in. So since their spawners came back, the NIP spawners, they pinched both tanks on the point.
Yep. They
had nowhere to go. I mean, Rochelle ended up dying, and then they just caught Sadak running away. NIP off the back of that, go up 1-0. Basically a free mid-win for them, even, I guess not free. They threw Bonker into the grinder for it, but they managed to get their advantage that they need, and if they snowball this, I mean, this is definitely an early game comp, and they need to win as fast as possible.
We're going to continue to do that right now, and they're looking like they just might. A couple low health bars on the opposite side of this wall as Alex slides on through, helps Bonker find the kill there. Actually, in the last game, I noted for SSG, Sadak had he was 5-2 and 10 on Torvald or something like that. Normally you see very low kills, kind of medium middling deaths, and then a good amount of assists. Saw some offensive pressure that you're not used to seeing out of Torvald. Bonker already getting his name in the kill column as well. And that just adds a little bit extra. I mean, Torvald's good at what he does, but if you can find a way to get some kills on him as well, it's that much better.
You can tell with both the damage boosting T champions, right? Tyra and Torv.
Right.
Your Tyra might be in the middle of the damage charts and just have to be a little bit positive, but your Tyra's also top damaging on top of giving your team that much damage.
Right.
That's fantastic. We're not going to see a Torv top damage anytime soon, but for now, just living is important enough. Alice gets bubbled, gets two great kills on the side to open up that flank. SSG's going to go in and die for the point, but this is a rough time to die. It's so close to that final turn that SSG are going to have to pop some ultimates, and they really don't have any that have a lot of gas.
And if nothing else, Ares just heavily, staggered himself out. I mean, I think he was trying to maybe turn around to kill, but just extended his life for 5 or so more seconds. Payload stalled out right now. One last chance for SSG to keep this one from going through. Ultimates starting to come online here. Watch out for Bittner, that evil mojo, ever so impactful. You always got to assume that he's going to do something big with it. Assert dominance for Sadak in this small little side room over here. Enlightenment, just for a moment, keeps Alex up in the air. Doesn't end up getting anything else. That's a good Void Grip countered out. Shoulder bash here, and NIP, half health bars, kind of forced back, but playing so well behind that barrack shield. And they're actually able to get up, get over, get a kill. Ares back from the respawn does the same. And this one is so close to going through. Overtime likely to begin here. Maybe just going to get stalled out. You got Diggy Dog kind of on an island on his own. One last chance for NIP.
Alex actually dashes in and manages to get the OT. Hyper Beam now means no one can contest the point. Diggy, basically the last person left, but as the spawners come back in, perfect timing, and they go up 2-0, and that's what they need with this comp. They can't let SSG get comfortable, get their items. This is worst case scenario, I think, for SSG right now, especially since they spent ultimates for defense.
Now, I mean, it's one thing. I mean, we talk about, freeze in the last game, all of that. You have the Torvald at your back, but making good on that is not easy. I mean, you have to be very good at this game to do what Alex is doing right now, do what Freeze got us doing. And, normally we'd see Bittner kind of flexing onto that Leon with the pocket. But Alex, he's the one who got the call up. 7-2, he's doing it justice for sure.
They have 2 very flexible DPSs on their team and able to both pick up that mantle, both be skilled enough to hit the shots when it matters through time and space. The spunky shot, unfortunately for NIP, does not connect. Spunky wasn't the one firing it, but still, they use their ultimate now. They kind of leave an opening for SSG. They come in aggressively on the right with the Inflame. Torv a little bit split, but gets the bubble at the last second to save Alex.
Wow, right around the corner, he snags the bubble in. It didn't look like he was going to be able to, and now Alex can get aggressive. Seismic Crash does not rain down from Rashao. Sadak is cutting back, as well are the rest of SSG here, but NIP, they're storming the gates. Freeze God is able to get one on the back pedal. Evil Mojo was used, didn't see how much value it got. Must have been towards the beginning of this round or the end of last. Big zone though, 70-81% now for NIP. Midnight drops down from Ares, no kills just yet. NIP off the point just for the moment. It's a good assert dominance in the side there from Sadak, locks up a couple. The shield might have stalled out the stun there from Diggy Dog. If he drops, you're going to have a Torvald solo point tanking in a fast cap scenario. SSG are in a good spot.
I don't think NIP even are going to have a chance to retouch. Seismic Crash used, kind of just icing on the cake, cherry on top, but with the double comeback, there's really no way for NIP to get back in, so SSG take that round on the back of a great flank by Sadak. He actually bashed from the Jaguar side by that statue to the enemy choke and came in from behind, and that's what forced them off the point into that assert dominance to hit on them in dark. So great play by him. Kind of just basically put the entire team on his back there just to try to wrestle this game back from NIP's hands.
Sometimes that's what it takes. Oh, the mobility from Bittner. He drops up in the air, drops the Evil Mojo from height, finds 2, double kill for NIP. What a flashy play, and this is with 2 minutes left on the defensive side. They're ready to make it work. He's still got a quarter back on his charge there, tearing through SSG or NIP.
Tenor does a double weightless pogo off the top of the map to carry himself just barely over the wall to land that Evil Mojo. What an unreal play, and that has put them in this aggressive zone, which is going to buy a lot of time on this map because you can fight them in all these individual chokes. So many stopping points as long as you back up at the right times.
Well, you get a mid-game check-in here as the fights continue as Alex drops off. 0-5-8 for Mid-Tau, compared to 0-4, 16 for Bird. Look at the damage dealers though, 10-5-5, 4-4-9. Not the flashiest performance from Bittner, but he's third damaging in the game, top damaging everyone from SSG. Freeze God though with a double kill is going to start to close that gap. It's still 11K behind the Pip on the opposite side. There just hasn't been as much offensive firepower, although you have a Genos Torvald on the opposite side. Hard to keep pace with that. Chance to tie up the game, though, nonetheless, here for SSG.
Yeah, it's also the fact that they're fighting into Torvald and Barrack, and
Yes.
shielding doesn't count towards your damage done. It only counts towards the enemy's damage shielded. So it's definitely going to be a little bit sided, especially considering Inara Ashe, two not really shield-reliant tanks on SSG's side to kind of pad the NIP numbers a bit. But they don't need padding with all that damage boost that they have. They have a good defensive position here. I think Torvald sitting there in the shack, and looks like SSG want to take this in aggressively. Midnight and Inflame used, but actually no kills yet. You need it to be a very explosive moment, and finally, for SSG's sake, Diggy's that kill.
I think Ares was just a little bit too poked down to get involved, but the rest of his team felt free and clear to do so. 6 health on Sadak gets cleaned up. Enlightenment from Alex does not connect, missing just a couple important shots there towards the end. Talk about explosive SSG. They're able to use the rotation of ultimates. They're going to drop the Dome Shield. NIP are going to try to stall this one out. You have Evil Mojo. You'd like to try to save that for the next round if you're able to do so. Go up 3-1 here. That'd be big. He elects to use it right now. The CC immunity not in from Rashao. Not at that moment. Finds the kill. Diggy Dog gets that one with Sadak dropping off. No more frontliners for SSG. This one starts to fizzle out. And NIP are 1 point away from cleaning up this set.
I think they used the best ults they could have there, because the Dome Shield forced out the damage reduction from Rashao. Once that was down, then Evil Mojo was free. Also, Tenor's been charging that so fast, I'm not too worried, and I feel like NIP need to be
He's
up.
already back to 27%.
Yeah, exactly, after like 3 shots, and I feel like they have to be up. With the Torvald, you want to win as fast as possible, especially since your other tank is also so shield reliant that you really don't want to let them get that Wreckers online. They already have Wrecker 3 on Ares and FRZ, so unfortunate, but they hopefully can try to take this before the rest of SSG start buying Wreckers. Probably won't be Sadak.
Sure.
I think Ashe is like the worst Wrecker in the game, but Inara's not bad on it. You can't ignore Inara's damage, especially when she's the one that's dueling the Barrack with all that shielding.
Well, the Wrecker 3 for Freeze, Wrecker 3 for Ares. All onto those two right now to really blow up these shields. On the opposite side, Bittner will start to come into that Evil Mojo towards the end of this mid-fight. Bird looking for a little bit more magic with that through time and space. The double kill would be maybe icing on the cake of this set, just poking out with Ares on the opposite side. The Alex bonker stack on the right-hand side sets up Freeze God. He's able to dodge roll out. One more shot from Bittner will do it. Doesn't find the fadeaway. Forces himself out, but if nothing else, FRZ cannot participate just for a moment. He's able to pull himself back in through here. Sounds like the Inflame is back up, does get used. Scout as well. They're going to have that ultimate 2-stack here up on the high ground. This is the Inara on the opposite side. So many low health bars. That's a great assert dominance on the inside here. Through time and space does not connect. It's a 2-for-2 so far in this fight.
Yeah, they used the Evil Mojo onto Ares to try to stop him from being mobile, but they don't get the kill. Gets barely around the corner and gets saved by Midtown.
Wow,
Cap time is
big.
basically even, but this Midnight is going to let SSG take a lot more ground, but they don't decide to move with it. They're just afraid of this damage coming in from Tenor, but they might be able to find the Torvald. Maybe they don't know that he's there, and it looks like they don't, so Ares caught out just a little bit, dashing away. Neither team is getting cap time right now, but positioning's basically even too. It's all going to be on, I think, this mid-fight with Diggy coming back in.
Yeah, somebody looking to find a kill. Freeze God with the first one. On to Alex, no less. Now those bubbles are going to be on Bittner, who's going to really have to carry the load in this fight. Seismic Crash in the mid-ground over there on the right-hand side. Stuns up a couple. Bonker drops off. Bittner's still alive, though. FRZ and Sadak find themselves a couple of kills. Bittner is the last one in touch range here for NIP. Maybe Alex slides in. Not going to happen. SSG bring themselves to 2 points and extend this game just a little bit longer.
Enlightenment kind of thrown out by Alex there just to maybe try to get the reset from it. He needs to step up a little bit, I think. I mean, I again, I don't really like calling out players.
Right.
Neither of us do, but if he's getting out damaged by Tenor and Barrack when he's the one getting a lot of these bubbles, he has to be finding the shots at least when he's bubbled.
Right.
That's when these have to be connecting. And SSG have been able to kind of just wrestle these fights away from NIP. The longer they go, the better it's going to be for them. And SSG using Flame because they want to go in right now, but Sadak is the first one to go down in the front of the entire NIP roster.
The power of morale boost is reigning supreme here for SSG. Those Inflames have been up ever so frequently. And look how high, that already back to 17%, 20. I mean, these have been up almost on cooldown. Every time another fight is ready to break out, and Flame is right there, ready to build up SSG. 9 streak for Midtown. Bubbled up Alex, ready to absorb some of that pressure here. SSG looking to tie this game, win one more. Force game 6. I guess it would be a no, it would be a game 6.
would be a
Good
game
math, Dave. You gotta add 1 to whatever's
wanted
on
to
the
let you do
scoreboard
it.
right now. Yeah, I did. Right. Fun with colors is our next lesson right after this.
The red team plays against the blue team.
That's right.
FRZ playing on the right and actually gets up to a 19 streak here, finding Alex through the bubbles. Bird catches arrows in the other side, though, so it's kind of an even trade, but this positioning gained by SSG might be worth it. Or it would have been if Tenor didn't just weightless in and hit every single shot on the way.
He's able to get himself out as well. A few more ring shots onto the side. He's kind of caught in between a rock, literally, in Anara's case, in a hard place on the opposite side. Drops back to bases. He starts to respawn. Freeze God gets another kill as well, forcing themselves back. A double kill from the Cassie opens up this gate for SSG. They're looking to force another 0.7, force one more game in this one. The payload inches away from going in. Diggy Dog, not enough health to contest. And they do just that. One more 0.7. Either SSG extend the set or NIP end it.
And we had a hope for SSG's sake that FRZ actually died there. Because if he didn't fall off the map when he jumped, he's going to give NIP another ultimate if he dies because of how big of a streak that he's on right now. So we'll find out right now. He didn't make it in time. So that's actually kind of bad for SSG. FRZ has to maintain his streak, or NIP can chain some ultimates together. If someone like Tenor manages to be the one to find the kill, that's huge. If Alex can just get 2 enlightenments back to back, depending on how he manages to get the kill onto FRZ. Looking at the ults here, though, I mean, SSG do have the advantage purely because Hyper Beam isn't there yet, but it's also not really an ultimate. I say it purely as you're not really going to find a lot with it.
It's bound to your ultimate key.
Yes.
But
I press E to do it, but it doesn't feel like I'm doing anything quite ultimate. At least not in this meta where players know how to play around it. Evil Mojo was actually used on the side, but didn't find anything. Ares very, very low dueling on the side, and FRZ wins that fight against Tenor, so control was even, but now it's just DPS for DPS.
Well, that's your Midnight and Flame combination. It finds you too, but once those wear out, Alex turns it around, a double kill on his own. Rashao around the corner, solo, no healing for him. Bird just hiding out, assert dominance, stuns up a couple, but they're able to pop back up through time and space, rips through, doesn't find anyone. Now they finally know where Bird is. Freeze God finds the kill. Sadak gets one as well, 63% and climbing for NIP here. Enlightenment does not connect this time around. Diggy Dog cleaned up for the double kill. SSG now on the point. Plenty of time left for NIP to get back in. 26 streak for FRZ. As we round this final corner, a kill onto him could recharge one of these last few ultimates.
It could. That's why FRZ is going to play so careful. You can already see all the way back here in face, and everybody dismounted, actually, on NIP. I don't know if they have anyone that could go in for the touch. Diggy actually managed to make it pretty far in, but FRZ was in the way. He's going to shred through him, and that disengage. Hopefully he doesn't shoot him again to give him the failsafe. Does, but it's just not enough. Hyper Beam can't knock that Inara off the point with Mother's Grace, and SSG take 2 back-to-back.
All right, you got a 4-3 for SSG. Another 4-3 for SSG, and a game 6 after this one. Not going anywhere in this set. You lose 3 straight. You finally find yourself a win, and now you make it 2. I don't know. These are tense moments. I haven't seen a 4-streak win. You got 3 to go through before that. But SSG are proving, even despite how scary NIP's lineup was, they'll fight through it.
I mean, that was a lot of just how well they shut down Alex. I felt like he couldn't do anything as the game was going on. So if they can keep doing that, if they can keep finding the weaknesses in the draft, this could keep going well for SSG.
SSG just hanging around one more game. Game 6 right after this.
Respawn, the official gaming chair of the Paladins Premier League.
You're about to lose me. Just like that, just like that. Just like that, just like that. Forever's never gone so fast. gone just like that, just like that. Forever's never gone just like that.
Welcome back to the Paladins Premier League, guys. What a wonderful game it was that we just ended up seeing. Once again, NIP managing to lose that game. Now SSG is looking 2-3 right now, what could potentially be a reverse sweep in SSG's favor. I mean, NIP, it seems like they're losing ground now.
Now, this might be negative energy I'm throwing out there.
Okay.
We have not seen a single 3-0, like a team down 3-0, find a reverse sweep. So if SSG do it, they'd be creating a first tier.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, that speaks wonders about NIP. I mean, they've 3 losses in a row counting yesterday's. They are not on the same path that they were on in Split 1. And if they go up 3-0 and then lose 4 games in a row, I don't know what happens.
I don't even know what I would even say in response to that. But, I mean, what I can
Look at
say
the damage.
is, yeah, exactly. Look at the damage it is that NIP has compared to what we're seeing on SSG. But they're the ones that came out on top. 102,000 for Alex, 109,000 for Bidner, 111,000 for Diggy Dog. But at the same time, though, I mean, really, SSG were able to really clutch that one out. And FRZ, man, like we mentioned him last game on Stone Keep. This game, he did some of the same amazing performance that we saw from him, like as if nothing had changed. Like as if this is the same game, like as if we're still on Stone Keep. But he's really making it work on Jag too.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't as grandiose as it was last game, but you could maybe take it down, I guess 25%. There's no Torvald bubble this time around, so he's just doing it the old-fashioned way. And he's having, this is going to be a very rare backwards comparison in my mind, but he's having a shadow performance from Renegades where there were sets where they'd be down, or it would look really bad for them, they'd be back against the wall. And then games 5 and 6, he would just, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6.
Around 5 and 6,
he would just pick up and demolish people. And like it would just be like this isolated event for him to find these insane performances. That's Freeze God right now, except it's 4 and 5. He's just not willing to lose.
Yeah, I mean, however, most of the time where people do end up losing on is this map. It's Fish Market. It's Fish Market time. So that's something it is that people typically don't like to see at all.
True. But it's always except for Envy right now.
Right, except
it's usually the team that picks the map that loses here. So interested to see what NIP are going to be able to bring out. They banned the Strix, so Kinessa is going to be like the only sniper available that will maybe be potent. But I mean, it's up in the air. I have no idea what to expect out of them now.
Right, neither do I. I mean, at this point, really, NIP's on the back foot here. Barrick being their first lock-in, SSG already hovering the con. Gonna have to see who they decide to go for. They're really their second and third pick being chosen right now for SSG's side. I mean, I'm not really too sure what to think about either of these teams either. I mean, like I was expecting, and I'm just gonna be honest here, I was expecting NIP to be able to just like close this one out. I thought on Stone Keep, I was like on Stone Keep, I was really like, okay, well, this might just be it. This might be a 4-0, but now SSG's 2-3, and I don't know what to expect at this point anymore.
I'm just going to say it. If we go 3-3 and SSG lose the set,
humble mortal.
then, guys, come on.
Yeah, come on, man.
If we go 3-3 and NIP lose, then you know, like, I guess if you're going to push us to 7, then SSG, do the thing, right?
They should
Don't just get there. And this is that kind of pivotal moment. I mean, honestly, these last 2 maps, both of them have felt deserving for SSG to win. But it leaves a bad taste in my mouth where it's just like you're watching it and you're like, you win, you're playing really well, but NIP shouldn't have lost. I think that's probably what it is. And it's just like that you have a composition that shouldn't lose here. You have a strategy that shouldn't lose here. And you open up the game so demanding and so controlling what keeps going wrong. Right? And it's just the one thing you can't account for. It's Freeze God having these performances where he's just eviscerating people. No one can stand in front of him without feeling his wrath as of right now. And so NIP either need to lock him down, lock him up, or risk potentially losing another map.
Yeah, I mean, they got to find some way to be able to pin him down because it's like so far these past 2 wins that SSG have had, I feel like have been exclusively due to FRZ, specifically due to Freeze God in this case. I mean, what else can be said about that? You have 2 games back-to-back, Stone Keep and the map it was we were just on, Jaguar Falls, where he's popping like all together, and you have to find some way to deal with him, or otherwise he's gonna keep posing the problem like he has been doing.
This time around, potentially he's the Cassie. I mean, we've seen him Leon, we've seen him Cassie in the last 2 games, so he could be either or. They've got the Furia once again on their side, Ash Khan this time around. But you know, this is actually where things switch up. NIP could go Genos. They could actually go triple DPS here, and well, say it and you will see it. Leon, Maeve, Willow, something they did really, really well on. This is actually the exact same draft they had for Serpent Beach. And I guess it just comes down to the question of whether SSG figured it out then. Can they figure it out now?
Yeah, I mean, Genos, Willow, last 2 on NIP's side who they're going to try and go for. And with the Luminary buff, it's going to play a lot. It means that these duels, whatever it is that happens on the side, are going to be pretty much won thanks to Luminary if played correctly. I mean, at this point, SSG, they have to pick their other damage dealer, of course. They're really trying to consider who they might try and go for. And it is Kinessa, which makes sense. You do see snipers brought out every now and again on Fish Market. Or at least, and specifically in Strix's case, I should say. Let me specify that. Specifically in Strix's case.
Well, Kinessa and Strix, they're like it's known as a matchup on this map. It's definitely like either or you're going to be fine with. Strix has just been the new hotness lately, as it has been lately. But the thing I've got issue with, and that is that, well, Freeze God's been having great games. Leon, then Cassie. I want to see him on Kinessa this game. I think I said this earlier, but Ares has yet to really kind of impress me with his sniper play. I think he's had maybe 1 good game where I thought, yeah, okay, we can put Ares on snipers, maybe. But compared to the 4 or 5 that I've seen where I've thought, okay, maybe not again. Like, just keep it away for a little while. That means Ares will be on the Cassie, but I don't know if that gives Freeze God enough carry potential.
Neither do I. We'll have to see if they can really end up closing this one out. Game 6 on its way.
Game 6. Not something I thought I was going to get to say 2 games ago, but here we are. Fish Market, a chance late in this set for SSG to tie it up. 3 straight for NIP, 2 straight now for SSG, 1 more. And we're going to a Game 7. But first, a little fun on Fish Market, a map that I like, a map that I know pros are a little back and forth on. We get another triple DPS from NIP. Looked good the last time around they played it, so they'll hope that this one puts an end to any sort of SSG comeback.
Yeah, and they're going to have to deal with FRZ on this sniper. It's going to be tough for them, I think, to get around him, or at least to get on him. It's only really the Maeve that can cross that gap, and sometimes that's enough, but they don't have like an off-tank, someone that has the health to really live after crossing that gap. If they protect FRZ well enough, then SSG, it's going to be so hard for NIP to break that line.
And maybe getting an early look at where he'll elect to play throughout this game. This right-hand side, rotating around to Doc side right now. Playing more from the low ground, forced down by a rotation from NIP. Both teams swapping sides. We spawned on opposite sides of the map, but we don't want to fight each other head-on just yet, so we're going to rotate. A little Shattered Desert-esque with these big tango-y rotations. No kills just yet. Diggy Dog flexing onto the Leon. Looking for the first one. Ares is able to dodge, roll back behind that pillar there. Void Grip up into the air. That's Shoulder Bash out of danger for Ash on the opposite side. First Blood goes the way of Ares onto Diggy Dog. You still got 2 more damage dealers on the back end. Another good dodge roll. That's an aggressive Shoulder Bash as well from Sadak, who's able to trade out 1-for-1 with Alex right there on the low ground. Nobody on the point just yet. Neither team wanting to extend into that no man's land.
So many spread engagements. These teams are really playing Fish Market very well. You were mentioning how similar it is to Shattered and how it was playing. It basically is, except the point's even more dangerous. So you can't really afford to get that cap time during it until you get a strong advantage. And strong advantage for SSG, cap time begins. Hopefully they zoned the right spawn. Yes. That's honestly my biggest worry right now.
To turn around and think that you're back.
Listen. I have multiple clips on my stream from Bork scrims of me going to my own spawn.
Hey, that's fair. Listen,
it's actually a serious thing.
I can see it happen. 93%. That's a good beam there from Midtown. Cleans up Bittner. Rashao as well finds Bonker. Now you don't have a front line to get a touch. First strike to SSG. Pushing now for point number 2.
SSG with great rotations, and this has really got to take the wind out of NIP's sails. I mean, they won with triple DPS before. They bring it forward today. They bring it forward on this map, and they're thinking, all right, well, we know how to play this. And then SSG just kite away, dismantle them. 3 DPSs can't kill 1 Ares on Cassie over in that market side. So NIP, coming from this losing streak, we thought maybe they had reset that mental boom they had taken before, and it's turning back around with how well SSG have been playing as the set's gone on.
Nearly closing things out in game 4. Now you've lost 2 potentially set-winning 0.7s in a row. You're right. The wins have to be out of your sails if you're NIP here. Midnight from Alex is going to force SSG back a little bit. Still on the left-hand side here is Ares. 8 streak for him, looking for a little bit more. Alex on some long-range daggers, looking to connect onto Sadak. Rochelle, of course, playing the con, running down a couple for a 5 streak of his own. Mid-Tau, top right on the 8. Faithlight was used as well as the Midnight for NIP. No kills, though. Bittner actually dies for his troubles this time around. Diggy Dog looking to get aggressive, sees a double kill on a silver platter, connects one more shot for the triple. But Sadak is here to save the day. Kinetic bursts him backwards, but the rest of the kills are cleaned up from NIP, and SSG goes searching one more time.
I have a feeling that's going to be a common theme whenever Faithlight gets used, considering you're against a Kinessa. Not really the best character to use Faithlight against. FRZ is 0-1, but the presence that he's had, I mean, 5 assists, he's still
gotta
connecting
throw him
shots.
the 5. Gotta throw him the 5.
Oh, then those 5 kills that Ares has picked up all of them, and Ares kind of waking up in this set and playing around his team properly is what we've needed to see from SSG so far, and I think that's kind of given a lot to how well they've been coming back. Overpower connected by Rochelle into Bonker.
Okay.
The only tank is dead now. They need to send someone else onto this objective or get the kills before it's a threat.
So many low health bars. Alex is going to take the long way out, up and over. He goes, finds some daggers in the back line. One more shot from Freeze God, cleans that one up. Diggy Dog as well is no longer alive to contest. And this is the problem with Fish Market. It's a long march back from base. Shoulder bash goes through, right through the dome shield. He drops the dome shield, gets shoulder bashed out of contest range. And SSG strike twice in a row and go up 2-0.
That was a great play by Sadak for the double knockback. So even if he had a dash to retouch, he had the kinetic burst charged. He could have just walked into the dome shield, taken 600 damage or whatever, and gotten that knockback. This is good by Mid-Tau. This is once they finally got onto that objective and recognized what was open. NIP, no dome shield means they can't kind of cheese early cap time with their double comeback, which they might have been able to without it. So it's going to be really hard for them. Midnight is up very soon. That's going to be probably their linchpin, their go button, but into Headhunter assert dominance, and they have the scout to counter it on SSG's side, so this is honestly, ultimate-wise, it's kind of on the back of Bird just catching somebody out.
And, you know, Bird, they relied on Bird. Well, I keep anecdoting that one nasty snipe on Serpent Beach.
It's worth it. It was pretty good.
It was pretty nasty, but, you know, that's what they've relied on sometimes throughout some of these fights. Same sort of roundabout fight here, but Alex a little late on the memo that time around, doesn't fully rotate with the rest of his team. He's left out on an island. Sadak makes good on the shots, but on the opposite side, Rachel much in the same spot. Bittner is very low here, backing off though. NIP get themselves 35%. Assert dominance, drops down. Inflame as well for SSG. Starts off this fight. Enlightenment does connect long range, but Freeze God, he looks down the barrel, connects on his own shot, and drops off Diggy Dog, who's getting a little bit too aggressive there. Alex doing the dance. NIP's maybe last hope to keep themselves in this first engagement. SSG still have, you know, 80 plus to connect on this mid. Midnight drops down for Alex as he looks to re-engage.
Not able to really connect with anything right away. So Doc did get caught out because of it, and they had great timing for that. They waited until Ares was dead to use it, so no scout up for that. They have the scout now for the refight, and they use it so they can see exactly where they're positioned. Through time and space does not connect, so the biggest ultimate left for NIP is gone. Only Faithlight coming up soon. We know how hard that is into a sniper.
It's true. On the opposite side, though, you have nothing. There's your Faithlight. Needs to find some value. NIP at 97% doesn't find any value. Freeze God shuts it down as soon as it begins. Overtime, tick, tick, ticking away, but nobody's in range for NIP to make good on it. They're going to back themselves off. 42% for SSG. Mid-Tau gets the kill onto Bird on the opposite side. He wins that sniper duel as Freeze God adds another under his cap, and he's really starting to hit his shots. A triple kill for the Kinessa may have just sealed up this mid.
This could be rough, though. They do know Tenor's there, so he'll have to dive in basically for the point. And look at this dismount angle that FRZ has. This has always been so powerful, even way back in the day. But just put a ruckus here. They have no way to get in, so no touch for sure coming in for NIP. A great shot from FRZ to stagger out Diggy even more. So now They already have this hill claimed, basically, with these picks they got. They already have this such a strong offensive position.
Game 7.
Game 7.
They got one more point to go before we get there. But they got 2, 3 more chances at it in this game, depending on how NIP look towards the next round of things. Freeze got on this Kinessa. Gormizer asked for it. Gormizer got it. Freeze God's delivering. Rounding this first corner, NIP electing to give up some ground just for an easier choke point to defend. Up and over this hill, looking for the shots onto Diggy Dog. Returns a little bit of damage. He's going to teleport his way out of there. Low moments. Catches another overpower. This time around, though, they're not able to drop Bonker. Freeze God finds the kill, though. It's a 1-for-1. Rashao, Bonker, both gone. Inflame as well from SSG. They're looking to go right now.
They might be able to find something on the left there. Slugshot Ash hunting, but they ran away, and Ares goes down to Tenor, I believe, on the far side. Actually, no, he was up in the sky, fluttered in to find it. Now, both DPS is down, so SSG have to die so they don't get staggered. Good counterplay by NIP, kind of kiting back and baiting them in. With Rashao being down, all that tank pressure not in main made it so much harder for the backlines of SSG to find anything. Ares had to walk in. I mean, he was on the cart rounding the corner, and I mean, he hasn't been attacked for a long time, but I guess some of that just resurfaced there for him a bit.
And they burn the Inflame, burn the Headhunter, burn the Overpower. Really trying to force that one in. Still a chance here. NIP, 5 ultimates ready to go to defend. They're going to have to use them here if they don't want to go out of this game. One more snipe might just change it. Assert Dominance gets used as well. They're looking for maybe one more shot. Freeze God has his sights set on the high-flying Willow, but it's Ares who finds the kill instead. Bird, he's all alone in the backline, and nobody's turning around to find Ares. Finally, Diggy Dog, he gets the phone call. He turns around, delivers a few shots into Sadat, gets that kill, and now Ares is the one who's a little bit caught out here. And under the duress of an ongoing space station assault, NIP live to fight another day.
They use a couple ultimates, though. Dome Shield, Faith Light, and Enlightenment all taken out of the way. So ultimates are basically going to be even going into the next fight if that's how things end up. Scout most likely still just being held for the midnight. And SSG have a shot. Ares is going to be a little bit late, but they can get the point touch. Rashao is right there on the corner, and he's in relative safety. Very low on Tenor. Rashao actually might go down for that
shot!
FRC finds it onto Tenor, so he's down. No AoE cleave, and Rashao has a much easier time on the objective.
He pokes out just a little bit too far from behind the shield. Alex gets the shots onto Freeze God to trade out for his teammate. And now it's a 4v4. Respawns are going to be closer for Bittner, who's going to be coming out of base. Overtime starts here for SSG. Half health bars. Midtow finds the kill. Another 1-for-1 trade, but you got more DPS on your side if you're NIP. And one more point for SSG goes waiting for one more mid.
And the ultimates are going to be, I think, a big story here. If they can just get something out of it, because we know how hard it is for NIP to utilize theirs. They don't really have great places on this mid for it to happen, and this was that crazy 3-streak from FRZ that happened earlier. Just these mid-range snipes.
Oh!
What a shot.
There's something about snipers where, like, I lose words and I just start yelling. Whoa! I think this was one of them, actually. Dismounts. Plugs a shot on the opposite side. I mean,
you can't be jumping there,
literally
buddy.
Could not have aimed anywhere else. The only thing that poked up was Diggy Dog's head, and Freeze got connected with it. 3-1 is where we stand. 3-2 for NIP after going up 3-0 in this set. Space Station Gaming poised to force a Game 7 with one more mid-fight here. Midtow wants to start this one off through time and space, does not connect. Inflame was used here. Ares tumbles backwards, does not get the kill. Is Diggy Dog, and Rashao finds the kill on the Bird as well. Ares continues his terror. Freeze God does a lot, but Ares does the same. Bonker cleans him up. And that's the only kill NIP have found in this fight. You only have your Barrack, but now he's getting pinched by everyone out. SSG take control of this mid and can zone out one last time and force a Game 7.
Rashao did get off the point to chase Bonker, though, so the cap pressure isn't as there as it would have been otherwise. Still respawning. Very great shot by FRZ to knock back Diggy, and health pools are going to be so tough. They have to fight up such a big mountain. Midnight being used, but immediately countered by the Scout. Ares has been holding on to that for this whole time. Overpowered, too, maybe to grab Bonker off the point. Looks like he does. Will they be able to get the kill? Yes, they do. Headhunter, too, to make it even harder. This is so hard for NIP. They have to come up insanely huge right now.
There's no front line. Assert Dominance drops down. Ares gets 2 kills in this re-engage. Bittner gets sniped out of the air. Wouldn't you guess it? We're going to a Game 7.
Bird touched the point. I don't think they know. All right, they found him. All right, he's
Oh,
easy in
you
the back.
ruined my call, Bird. God, he ruined it. We're going to a Game 7.
We're still going to a Game 7. It still counts, Dave. SSG have completely turned the momentum back around. What a turn by them, for sure. I mean, we haven't seen a full reverse sweep ever in the PPL, right?
That says a lot right there. No, we have not. But that says a lot. Wind out of the sails. And now you're looking at the team who's won 3 straight more recently. Sure, NIP do it at the beginning of the day, but SSG have done it on the back half. One more game to decide this set. Not even in my wheelhouse. 3 games ago, I was for sure NIP were going to run away with it. They have not. One more game to decide this first set right after this break.
SteelSeries, the official peripheral provider of the Paladins Premier League.
So speak sincerely, huh? 'Cause I'm still waiting, yeah, for you to come around and save me. Will you stay with me? I'm lost here in America. Will you stay with me now? 'Cause I'm lost here in America. Stay with me. I'm lost here in America. Stay with me now. 'Cause I'm lost here in America. So I crawl into the underground to find it hard to breathe.
Welcome back to the PPL. In this case, you would have really thought that NIP would have been able to clutch this one out, find what they needed to, but now we're looking at a 3-3. We're looking at a Game 7, ladies and gentlemen. SSG have brought the heat, and boy, oh boy, have they brought it, especially after this last game on Fish Market.
Yeah, I mean, it's you go to Fish Market to lose. That's
Yeah.
that's the rule, and you choose it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they meet their demise, or, well, fortunately, depending on who you're rooting
Yeah.
for here. SSG are in prime position to cause a first for the PPL this year by, if they win one more map, then they are the first team to find an actual full
Yeah.
reverse sweep. We've had some that were like 3-1s that became 4-3s, but none that have ever turned from 3-0 to 4-3. So you never know what they can do with it. And, well, it's all on the back of one guy right now.
Yeah, and of course, I'm sure you guys can guess who it is we might be thinking about once we go to the post-game stats. There's one man, one legend himself, that is Freeze God. I mean, Diggy Dog did really well, 79,000 damage, 68,000 damage on Alex, 51 on Bidner. But putting Freeze God on Kinessa, like you were saying, Gore, was just a little bit too much for NIP to handle. SSG was doing really, really well, but once again, Freeze just stepped it up.
I also want to give a big shout out to Ares, actually, because 12-6, 13, obviously it doesn't maybe shine as bright as the 11-4 and 13 down there, 1 more kill but 2 more deaths than Freeze God. But compared to the 0-10 game he had on Leon earlier, like,
Right.
it is night and day in comparison to what he's been playing. So I think Ares does deserve that kind of shout out, just because the improvement he has had in the 6 games from game 1 to now has been impressive. But like you said, there's one guy that's been doing it to him, and he's been doing it pretty consistently, and I have a feeling until he stops, we won't stop saying his name.
Yeah, I mean, you know he had to do it to him, of course. I mean, you see just the positioning he has with the Kinessa, the shots it is he's been landing. Dome Shield gets bobbed right out of that by the shoulder bash coming out from Sadar. But, I mean, it's situations like this where if you're NIP, you go, what's happening? What's going on? What do we do in this scenario? The slow-mo literally flick right onto Alex right there. It was so beautiful, man. I mean, look at him. I mean, the legend himself. He's definitely doing his thing right now in this set, and it's so obvious.
And what's been awesome is seeing him do it in ways that are not the standard, I guess, for him, right? The ones where it's like, oh, Freeze God's playing Eevee. Obviously, he's going to do really well. It's like, yeah, he's playing Kinessa on Fish Market and still doing it, right? It's just, he's playing phenomenally. And, I mean, it's going to be up to them to potentially close this one out. And this is actually the best map, I think, to go to.
Okay.
I was talking to you about it earlier because I was like, Shattered Desert, SSG, 2 months of not being able to truly play.
Right.
Like, even if you play it in casuals, you only get so much kind of practice out of it. And so having weeks of experience playing on this map, this split for Shattered Desert was good for NIP. The same thing applies to Bazaar, if not maybe even more to Bazaar since it's even newer.
Right, yeah. I mean, once again, you had just mentioned it. Torvald, Alice are gone, but just to go back to what you were saying before, yeah, it's going to be hard for SSG to be able to adapt to that. We saw Shadow Desert win before. Bazaar is now on the board. They may not be as used to this, which means potentially NIP could win. But, of course, SSG, they've been surprising us these past several games. They could very well just end up taking this one, too.
And I think it's very prominent that these two teams, they can get pretty emotional. Like, SSG can usually reset maybe after a loss and kind of hold down, bunker down. Obviously, they took 3 at the very beginning and seemed to bunker down for 4, 5, and 6 here. But they are riding a high right now. NIP, you can even kind of see it in Bird's face. Like, they're a little more distraught. They're a little more distracted because they've just kind of been taking a beating from Freeze God 3 games in a row. The problem would also have to be traced down to the fact that it's not just Freeze God in a lot of these moments. Like, he's being facilitated by a Furia on their side. Mitau's been doing incredibly well these last couple of games. We just saw Ares have a good game, and if they all get into that zone, there's a reason they were fighting Envy in that semifinal last year on the world stage. There's a reason they pushed that to 7 games, and there's a reason a lot of people have said if Envy lose Game 7 there, we see SSG go on potentially to win over Na'Vi. It's just they are a really good team, really good at adapting, and this is probably the best showcase they've had of it yet.
Yeah, and I see the Strix being brought on this map and Khan as well. And here's the things that I know it's a little bit harder for snipers to come out on Bazaar. We haven't really seen positive results with that. But at the same time, if they do well with Strix and Khan, then it's just a testament to how well SSG is doing. Their adaptability would be off of the charts if they managed to pull this one off despite not having much experience on this map.
And I have to throw out my one stat, because my one stat for a long time was every time I've seen a sniper on Bazaar, they've lost. So no matter how they were doing in scrims, most of the league games that we saw, they lost. But I do have to throw that out of the window because I've finally seen a sniper win on this map. So I do know it is possible. And like the theory crafting behind it is all there. I think Strix is the one to do it, not necessarily maybe the Kinessa, which means NIP are going to have to figure out how to play around it. And that's what the Eevee is for, is to kind of keep him maybe under wraps, cause him a lot of trouble, and maybe just lock him down, stop him from having a brilliant performance. Because at least I would personally guess that that's probably Freeze God's champion and that they're going to wait to pick maybe a Leon or a Cassie for Ares.
You already see that the Damba's being picked as well as the Inara, the two. You normally see these two always stuck together, joined at the hip, if you might say. Maldamba, not really that prominent anymore in terms of healing, but it's always good to see him being brought out. We see the Damba right there, the Inara as well, to give her that little bit of boost, a little bit of that support as he heals her so well. And really, it's up to NIP these last couple of picks that we'll really see how they decide to go for that. What can you see possibly them picking here?
Honestly, maybe to grab one of the two, Cassie, Eevee, or Cassie, Leon. Sorry, I was staring at Eevee, and so I had it. And then a healer, Furia or Ying, whichever one they would rather have. But they are hovering the Kinessa. And I think it'd be
my heart's beating, my hands
an interesting matchup against the Strix. I don't know how well she's going to do here, but it's going to put maybe some more pressure on her. Now they're going to have to figure it out. With Maeve Band, you are kind of taking some shots at Ares' champion pool. And so, if they're picking for him, unless they want to give him the Strix, you're going to have to see a Leon or a Cassie come through and potentially just fill that zone for them.
Yeah, we see the Leon being hover right now, which is, me personally, I like this because of the poke they seem to have on their team, on their side. Leon Strix being really good at poking, especially from a long range distance. I'm a fan of it. Of course, we see Khan, we see Inara, we see Maldamba. They have a lot of staying power here, but NIP on the flip side too with the Ying.
Yeah, I think Ying is going to be incredibly strong here. I mean, Bird has phenomenal performances with her, so this is honestly kind of up in the air. I think it depends heavily on the snipers.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with that. This could be it. Regardless of who wins this, there will be a winner at the end of it. Game 7. Dolson, Kresnik, take us right into it.
Appreciate it, fellas, for one last time in our first set of the day. Welcome down into the caster boost. Dolson and Kresnik, and 2 teams fighting for those top 4 spots. 2 teams that have been on a losing streak entering this game. And unfortunately, as of late, NIP have done a little bit more losing here. 3-0 up in this set. Now you're tied at 3. SSG looking to make history, complete the first reverse sweep we've maybe ever seen. Bazaar is the place of battle. It's going to be a lot of fun.
What is it with NIP and Bazaar Game 7s?
I don't know.
And what is it with NIP and Bazaar Game 7s and me casting? I don't know how this keeps happening, but I love it because this is one of my favorite maps, I think, since it's been added. I love the idea of the gate. The mid-fight, I think, is super, super dynamic and fun. And looking at these drafts on both sides, I think a lot of the pressure, is on one player on each team, specifically. In Nara, Rochelle for SSG, and whoever's on Eevee for NIP, because honestly, we don't know. It's probably Alex, considering they have the Kinessa, but we've seen both play it. Alex needs to be able to get in to 2 backlines, a Strix and a Leon, and make something happen. Rochelle needs to be able to live while getting surrounded from the Ashe Eevee pressure.
Flare.
And apparently, Ares is just going to help him out, completely deny that pressure, but Sadok's actually the one to go down, even after that first pick.
Wow, he wasn't able to follow up the kill. Rochelle's going to try to do it as well. Doesn't end up happening as Bittner cleans up the frontliners. Double kill for the Kinessa. He's trying to have some sniper impact of his own. Certainly has found that. You know, they're both snipers, but just because of the kits, does a Strix maybe bring something a little differently than a Kinessa would in this case, or do they both kind of fill that same role?
Strix is definitely a better counter sniper.
Sure.
For sure. Because of Roost, this is definitely the last day we will have the pre-rework Roost, where he gets up to 30% damage reduction just for being in scope. Later it'll be ultimate charge, as most people know, for the scope shots, but it really does help him a lot in that matchup. Back and forth, and I think you're going to see Tenor not really taking that fight a lot unless he's very confident. It's just two-sided towards the Strix.
And that's a good answer back. Bittner getting the better of SSG in the first mid. They strike first in this game 7. But Bazaar has so often proved this is such a hard map to push on unless you're able to kind of break this first choke. SSG say no way to that. Force back NIP. This is where Freeze got on the Leon. Look to get involved. It is the dynamic. I mean, you know, both teams have a sniper, sure, but one has the Eevee, Maeve notably banned out, so that leaves the Leon for Freeze God on the opposite side. Is that enough of a difference maker? You lack some mobility and some flank potential, I assume.
You do, but I feel like on this map, at least on the mid-fights, it's almost even having the Leon, because the Eevee has to cross so much distance in the open to make anything happen.
Sure.
Everything's out there in FRZ. Right now, open map, catches Tenor from across the way. Alex trying to equalize it by getting something on Sadok, but he actually ends up walking to Tenor, who doesn't see him there. Cut away from the duel, but we can see health bar is pretty low on FRZ. He manages to get away, but Diggy Dog chases him at the last second.
Freeze God finally gets cleaned up there. Good commander's grab, but Sadok doesn't stay alive through it. NIP inching ever closer to going up 2-0. Bonker, a good sneak shot onto Ares as well. Payload continuing its long march. NIP, no Illusory Rift, no Ice Storm, but they have everything else. Space Station, no Dread Serpent, but everything else. There's the Overpower, gonna get used, likely an execute into the base. Wait, they don't end up finding the kill. Bittner snipes him out from the backline. Bonker's still alive. It's a disastrous fight here towards the end of the game from Space Station. They threw everything out at the wall and don't find anything. NIP, just a couple kills to clean up here, and they're gonna go up 2-0.
They didn't want to throw him because he could have potentially lived. The door damage isn't that much, but dying and doing 0 damage is just a little bit worse. Good peel by Tenor shooting through the gate. That shows the strengths of snipers when you're pushing this last point. So many good angles you can take through those gates because no other DPS at least can do that level from that far away. That's kind of why snipers are rising to prominence on this map in general. People are finally figuring out more about the flow of Bazaar and how to push this very difficult last point.
One way to do it is just brute force.
Yeah,
brute force it down. I
Brute
guess
force.
that's certainly Latin for something, but what it is, I don't know.
I hope it's okay to
You're
say.
right, I hope. We don't speak Latin. There's our disclaimer. Alex, 405, 415, 425, 418. 4 is the big number for NIP here. 3s and 4s in the death column for SSG. Like butter, they were melted through on that last entire round. Didn't really have a lot on the mid. A couple kills came up short. They'll look to capitalize on the fast cap that they have here. NIP are going to touch the point first, get that thing climbing. Bittner right back to the same spot here, forcing back Freeze. Or Ares, not allowing them to really get aggressive here. Ares finds the first snipe. Diggy Dog, first one to drop down in this fight. Sadak, Battle Shout, lets him get a little bit aggressive here. Only 1 kill. Bittner trying to bounce his way out. Sadak, we're going to get aggressive actually, but out the window goes Bittner. Just a little bit of back and forth. The teleporter really gets him out of danger there. Spacestation Gaming fighting from the point with 62%.
Ares is in a risky angle here too because he's looking at Tenor and a lot of different things. Diggy manages to make it across onto him. Assert Dominance does not get the shield, the roof cancel, but he still lands the stun. NIP now have Ares, very important player, out of it for SSG. They're going to keep pressuring them, and they got all that early cap time, so SSG kind of have to force a fight they're not going to want to take if they want to get this to a 2-1.
Yeah, they're peeling their way all the way back. They're not going to be able to get in range and find the touch. NIP is done with this comeback. 3-0 for them. One more payload push will end this set. SSG, they had to win 4 games straight to win the set. They have to win 4 points straight to flip it around as well. Still have the Dread Serpent. NIP looking good to maybe end things here. Do you? I mean, I don't want to put too much focus on it, but Freeze got huge game on the sniper on Fish Market, and then you put him on the Leon and Ares on the sniper. Does that raise any eyebrows for you?
It does make me wonder why FRZ was on the sniper in the first place. I mean, obviously it was because he had that crazy pop-off game, but you kind of need that. You need that out of your sniper on this map too, on a map that's not really used as well. Overpower missed by Sadak through the window. Headhunter tries to flip it even with that last kill, but the warp doesn't go anywhere. Freeze God finds Tenor, and SSG are finally finding a leg to stand on.
Yeah, Freeze God may have just saved this game, or Shao as well. Now Bonker stuck out on an island with no healing. It's a triple kill for the Inara. SSG trying to draw the line in the sand. They have to. No room to play with here. No points to be given up for Space Station Gaming. They have the seismic crash, Enlightenment as well. NIP 75, 3/4 of the way there on 4 of their ultimates. Only Headhunter stuck on cooldown pretty far away. Payload begins. Maybe one final push here for NIP. You got to look at the first pick, and that might just decide the game.
For sure, and NIP are definitely going to be willing to spend ultimates, because even if they spend them and don't get it, it's only in 3-1. Even if they lose and then snowball, there's still another final midpoint with items they can go to. So I'd expect them to just charge ultimates here and then go for it. Really aggressive flank by Sadak. Must have been called out, and Alex is going to chase him down, but not too far. Maybe they'll just take this 4v5, but they delay it just a little bit too much. Try to go in now. Good Pierce there from FRZ to get them low. Illusory Rift spent, though. They're willing to spend ultimates to make this happen. Sadak's still kind of toying with the flank, but it's just taking him away from the rest of his team.
NIP are looking to end this game. The overpower may have just countered it out. Sadak on the back line stays alive. Freeze God dashes in the payload. So close to going through, they have to throw somebody in and get a touch, and it's Sadak on the front line. The shield proves to be too strong, but they're all falling. Comebacks be damned. NIP win the set.
Reverse sweeps are just not allowed to happen in the PPL, apparently, and NIP back to a map that they're clearly comfortable on in Game 7, and it shows. They turn it. They get a very good draft on that map. I felt the Ashe EV. I was worried about how the EV was going to go in, but Diggy just put on so much pressure, made it easy for him.
That's not the Game 7 this set deserved, I don't think, but it's the one NIP we're looking for. 4-0, clean it up, tied up with a nice little bow on Bazaar. Big fight back from SSG. They win 3 straight, can't make it the 4. That's got to be a weight off your shoulders if you're NIP. You've had such a tumultuous, maybe even an understatement start to the second split. And we're halfway through. I don't even know if you can call it a start at this point. Finding a win, important for them. And now SSG, you look at them, seemingly back to form. This is the SSG we're used to. But now they need to start finding some wins.
For sure, and this is like a mental block gone for NIP too. When you're like on a losing streak, it's so easy to just snowball and keep careening down. They needed this to boost themselves to move forward.
Yeah, well, first set of our day comes to a big conclusion. NIP seal it up 4-3 over SSG. Desk, take it away.
Thank you guys from the Casuals booth. Unfortunate for SSG in this case, the final score being 4-3 in favor of NIP. I mean, I guess they really just woke up during that. I mean, they really just pull. I can't really say they were pulling their punches, but they just realized what they needed to do.
Yeah, and I was choose a map that SSG is just not
Exactly.
good at,
Yeah,
right?
perfect.
Not one that they just don't know as well, and that they don't maybe understand the meta for it. I'm actually really interested to see how everyone did, just because I'm looking towards Ares specifically. I mean, if you're going to give him the mantle of sniper on a map like this, he has to go big. Bittner did go big. Ares has a 3 streak. I mean, no one really on SSG had the opportunity to do too well.
Yeah.
And so, the Strix didn't look good this game. And it's the same thing I've been saying every time they lock in a sniper. Is just it's not for him. It's just not where he should be. I don't know how scrims go with it. I don't know what the practice is for them, but every game that I've seen that has gotten Ares onto a sniper, I think there's one exception where he's had a stellar game.
Right, yeah. I mean, it's just not looking a little bit too well. On the flip side of that, Ares was Bittner, of course, being able to lock in that Knessa, being able to do what he needed to, 6-3 and 8. I feel like a good player during this entire match, throughout this set, really. I mean, his Knessa play was, of course, really what you would expect to see from Bittner, being the type of player that he is.
Yeah, and I mean, everybody on NIP played really well. You could probably highlight pretty much any single one of them. They all had fantastic slash lines. But he just had the plays that came through. I mean, this is very, very similar to what we saw from Freeze God on Fish Market. But this time, it's Bittner on Bazaar being able to come through and just control. Headshots galore, nowhere where Ares could truly feel safe. It was exactly what you wanted out of that pick.
Yeah, I mean, once again, it's going to take a little bit of time for SSG to be able to get back into the groove of being able to recognize some of these maps, like both Shadow Desert and Bazaar. They lost on both of them. They're going to have to find some type of way to deal with this loss, take it in stride. However, we do have an interview with the winners.
Thank you very much. Welcome back to the winner's desk, guys. Big Game 7 performance over SSG this time around. It's been a tough past couple of weeks for you guys. I'm just curious, just to pick your brain, what's the mentality of the team going into this game? You win a gutsy Game 7, 4-0, so pretty clean on Bazaar. What's the mentality now?
Coming into the game, we're tilted and we really want to win. We take the 3-0, and then we just get even more tilted when they come back, and then we just take out all of the tilt on them, and we win 4-0.
Actually, I wanted to ask about the drafts throughout the set. I kind of felt like you guys were almost getting what you wanted in every single game. I felt like, as the change in how the games were going result-wise, was that them adjusting? Were you guys maybe not comfortable with the later drafts? Because it definitely seemed really comfortable for you at the start.
I think in the beginning they gave us too much. That's definitely, they should know that we like that stuff. But then towards the end they did adjust, but I still think we had kind of what we wanted for the most part, but we were making so many mistakes. So.
And, we're looking at drafts and stuff. I don't want to look too far in the future, but with changes to Torvald, I want to ask you guys specifically, because you guys love some Torvald compositions. Where do you see him, if at all, moving forward into next week and in the future?
Dude, have you seen my damage numbers with Torvald? I'm gonna pick him. I'm insane with Torvald. Did you see when I ulted the Ash off point?
You running a
Easy.
direct current?
Yeah.
Next patch?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
little 500 boost going to really
I
carry you
got it,
forward.
man.
I actually wanted to ask comp-wise about Stone Keep, the double blaster. Was there like a specific merit to that? Just what you were feeling? Because it seemed like it struggled a lot to the Torv Leon.
I mean, not to leak too much, but I don't think double blaster is necessarily too bad, as long as you have like good follow-up picks, like the tanks, for example, to have good hit scan. But yeah.
Gotcha. Well, big performance out of you guys today. End up winning it in Game 7. Big congrats. We'll see you guys over the next couple of weeks. Stick around, everyone, though. We got another set coming after this.
INAP, powering the control room for the Paladins Premier League.